Chapter 24:30. Little junior brother, you have to know that those are three nascent soul cultivators. No matter how much you and I cultivate, they're still improving. You're a nascent soul cultivator while they're distracted. You're distracted while they're at the void refinement realm. You're at the void refinement realm and they're at the unity realm. How can you possibly catch up to them? How can you avenge master and eldest senior brother? If it weren't for the Sword Dao War, how could they have died? Even if you catch up to them, don't forget that they have the power of the entire sect. Can you join forces with the thunder-controlling sect to attack another sect? If I don't start the Sword Dao War, when can I, Shang Huaming, get my revenge? But the moment you start the war, before the nascent soul cultivators join in, there are already thousands, hundreds of thousands of cultivators and swordsmen who have died. Xiao Hua also roared. Ha ha ha, thousands? Tens of thousands? 100,000? A million? Zhang Qingxiao laughed wildly. What does that have to do with me? I'm the sect master of the Heavenly Devil sect. The more they die, the happier I am. You! Xiao Hua gritted his teeth. I've already told you that master, eldest senior brother, and junior sister are the closest people to me in this world. I definitely won't let them get hurt. No matter who. As long as they dare to hurt them, even if I go to the 9 heavens, the 9 underworlds, even if I fall into the Devil Dao or the Ghost Dao, I won't spare them. It's only 100,000 lives. It's really nothing. If it's possible, I can sacrifice the entire Dawn Rain continent. Zhang Qingxiao said with a sinister smile. Sigh, Xiao Hua's heart ached when he heard that. This was already the 3rd time Zhang Qingxiao mentioned it in front of him. He also deeply understood Zhang Qingxiao's heart. It was simply impossible to kill 3 nascent soul cultivators with the power of one person. Don't worry. Little junior brother, if you're killed one day, I'll still help you avenge my Heavenly Devil sect. Zhang Qingxiao said when she saw that Xiao Hua was somewhat calm. TCH, Xiao Hua sneered. Even if you die, I won't die. But when he said that, he felt that something was wrong and asked, why did you suddenly come here? Could it be that you deliberately entrusted Zhang Yutong to me? Do you have something to say? Let's not talk about this for now. Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand impatiently and said, the moment we met, you poured the dirty water of starting a war between Dao cultivators onto me. I'm not done with you. Heh, you're still in high spirits. Xiao Hua sneered. If you didn't kidnap Zhang Yutong, where would the sword cultivator's excuse come from? Then, if I send Zhang Yutong back, do you think the sword cultivators will stop fighting? Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. You sent Zhang Yutong back to Huan country? Xiao Hua was surprised. Isn't she your wife? I won't get together with you. When Zhang Qingxiao heard this, he became even more furious. I'm telling you, even if I send Zhang Yutong back to the Huan country, the sword cultivators will definitely not stop fighting. Because this battle is what they want to fight, and not me who started it. I've been holding Zhang Yutong hostage for almost 10 years. So why haven't they come out to fight? I'm telling you, what they want are spirit stones, spirit herbs, and things for cultivation. Seeing Zhang Qingxiao angry, Xiao Hua laughed. Haha, I naturally know this, but you kidnapping Zhang Yutong gave them an excuse. Even if I didn't kidnap Zhang Yutong, they also have an excuse. Since when do you need a reason to snatch a spirit stone mine? Zhang Qingxiao took a deep breath, calmed her emotions, and said coldly. And this. I also know. Xiao Hua laughed softly. But you really haven't seen Zhang Yuha? I intentionally let Zhang Yuha go. Zhang Qingxiao nodded. If she didn't escape, who would know that Zhang Yutong fell into the hands of cultivators? As for where she went, and what happened, I don't know. I'm still puzzled. Such a good opportunity was wasted just like that. All right, now that the war is over and countless people have died, this is all your sin. It has nothing to do with me. Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, why did you suddenly think of sending Zhang Yutong back to Huan country? That's my sin. I'll naturally bear it. I'm not afraid. What are you afraid of? It's none of your business. Zhang Qingxiao was disdainful, but when Zhang Yutong was mentioned, a touch of warmth flashed across her face. She thought for a moment and said with a smile, I originally didn't plan to do anything with this little girl. I only approached her to inquire about Huan country's sword sect, But I didn't expect. You didn't expect to be trapped in it? Involuntarily. Involuntarily? Xiao Hua said with a smile, but in his heart, he was happy for Zhang Qingxiao. What's with all these polite words? Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. This is the pleasure of dual cultivation. How could you possibly know this? Damn it, I naturally know. Xiao Hua muttered in his heart, not only is my physical body comfortable, even my Dharma body is comfortable. But I won't tell you. But. Then Zhang Qingxiao looked around again, as if worried, and whispered, I haven't told her my true identity. But I recently encountered a difficult matter. If there's a mishap, I might lose my life, so I had no choice but to send her back to Huan country and tell her my identity. Io, second senior brother, what's the matter? Xiao Hua was a little anxious. However, Zhang Qingxiao ignored him and only said with a smile, How would I know? This little girl is very cunning. She already knew my identity. When she saw me telling her the truth, she was even more considerate. She also said that my revenge is her revenge. She will definitely add oil to the fire, and let the sword cultivators kill more nascent soul cultivators of the Tao sect. If I had known earlier, why would I go through so much trouble? No, no way. How could this be? When Xiao Hua heard this, he was also shocked. Isn't Zhang Yutong's elbow a little too big? Who knows? As the saying goes, a married daughter is spilled water. This woman is really hard for men to understand. Zhang Qingxiao sighed with emotion. Xue Xue? Xiao Hua immediately thought of Xue Xue's abnormality. However, senior brother does have something to trouble you with. Zhang Qingxiao said shamelessly, How's the Qiu Yin Lu that you helped senior brother refine? There's no progress yet. Xiao Hua clapped his hand and took out the Qiu Yin Lu. If second senior brother needs it, take it away now. Zhang Qingxiao took the Qiu Yin Lu and looked at it again and again. His face was gloomy, and he handed it back to Xiao Hua, saying, This thing is useless with senior brother now. You better take it yourself. If you have the chance, quickly refine this thing. This thing concerns senior brother's life. What's going on? Xiao Hua took the Qiu Yin Lu and asked again. Alas, it's like this. Zhang Qingxiao said with a crying face as she recounted the whole story. It turned out that the vice-sect leader of the heavenly demon sect, Yin Meng, failed to find Xiao Hua, but he brought a piece of news to Zhang Qingxiao that made him collapse. On the other side of the Meng Mountains, there was a cultivator with profound devil arts coming over, and from what Yin Meng said, that devil cultivator situation was similar to Zhang Qingxiao's. He was also possessed, and his devil arts were far superior to Yin Meng. Didn't you say that devil cultivators need to use the Dachenkuan teleportation token to come to the Dawn Rain continent? Xiao Hua was somewhat puzzled. This thing is in this little brother's storage bag. Damn it, who knows what kind of method they used again? Zhang Qingxiao cursed. My devil cultivator lineage has many strange methods. It's nothing too strange. To be able to find a way outside of the Dachenkuan teleportation token, it's nothing. Actually, I already knew that this day would come sooner or later, but I didn't expect it to come so quickly. Xiao Hua nodded. He didn't ask why Zhang Qingxiao was not tolerated by the other devil cultivators. He knew that even if he asked, this guy would definitely not say. So, I have to lay my cards on the table with Zhang Yutong. Zhang Qingxiao said helplessly, and send her back to Huan country. All right, I said that if she wants to find you for anything, as long as it doesn't endanger me, Shang Huaming, you have to spare no effort. I know what to do. Seeing Zhang Qingxiao reiterate again, Xiao Hua could only nod and agree. Zhang Qingxiao seemed to be relieved, and said, When I received the news of your death, I knew that it was unlikely that you would die in the hands of the illusory sword, but I still went to the Spirit Stone Mine at Mount Quanjin to take a look. That large array is indeed powerful. Even a nascent soul cultivator is helpless against it. That's why I was a little worried. But I didn't expect to actually see you here. You didn't tell senior sister, right? Xiao Hua whispered. No, I'm not that stupid. Hearing Xiao Hua mention Xiao Xianrue, Zhang Qingxiao curled her lips and replied, but then she thought of something and said, Junior sister has been worried about Jiang Luer these few years. What's wrong with Jiang Luer? Xiao Hua was curious. Alas, Jiang Luer. He seems to be unable to cultivate. Zhang Qingxiao sighed. I also helped him take a look, and indeed I didn't find anything strange. Zhang Luer is talented and intelligent, he can understand all the cultivation methods, but his body can't generate true qi. That's strange. Xiao Hua was also stunned. You didn't think of any other way? You're the sect leader of Heavenly Demon Sect. Of course I thought of it. Zhang Qingxiao said angrily, you're free and unfettered in this sword cultivator war, so I naturally have to worry about Shang Huaming. However, I don't think it's anything. If it really doesn't work, I'll let Zhang Luer cultivate the devil art. Absolutely not. Xiao Hua said anxiously. TSK, why do you have the same tone as junior sister? Zhang Qingxiao said coldly, my Heavenly Demon Sect is also a devil art with a long history, it's not something you know. How about this? Xiao Hua clapped his hands, took out a golden NI and handed it to Zhang Qingxiao. I can't get away from the sword cultivator war now. This is a Buddhist cultivation method that I just got. You can give it to senior sister to try. If it works, practicing the Buddhist cultivation method is better than practicing the devil art. Chapter 24:31. Zhang Qingxiao took it and looked at it with her divine sense. She sneered, Prajna Paramitha Heart Sutra? Is this the Buddhist Heart Sutra you cultivate? Hee, I knew it. Buddhism is the nemesis of demonic arts. Demonic arts can also peek at Buddhist Heart Sutra. Xiao Hua did not answer directly. He waved his hand and said, let Zhang Luer take a look at this Heart Sutra. If he can cultivate it, he can cultivate the Buddhist Heart Sutra. When I have time, I will give him some pointers. Is there a difference between Buddhism and demonic cultivators? Zhang Qingxiao disdainfully put away the golden puppet and said coldly, Buddhism has long been extinct, but my demonic cultivators are going to prosper. Immediately, Zhang Qingxiao patted her storage bag again and took out a jade pendant and handed it to Xiao Hua. This is what junior sister asked me to bring to you. What is this? Xiao Hua was a little strange. Junior sister found it in the ancestral hall. Zhang Qingxiao said, it seems to be a cultivation technique of mine, Shang Huaming. It leans towards body cultivation. She said that you are my Shang Huaming's disciple, and the only one suitable to cultivate it. Xiao Hua did not care and put it into the space. He smiled and said, if I don't give you the golden puppet, you will forget about this matter? Who knows? Zhang Qingxiao spread out her hands. You gave me the golden puppet, and I will also give you the cultivation method. Okay. Xiao Hua was helpless and asked worriedly, when will the demonic cultivators from Meng Mountain arrive? How can I help you? You can help me? Zhang Qingxiao smiled bitterly. You should take care of yourself first. Xiao Hua waved his hand and the wishful staff appeared in his hand. His body moved like a ghost, and the sound of the wind on the wishful staff immediately rang in Zhang Qingxiao's ears. Zhang Qingxiao's face changed greatly. It was too late to bring out the bright scenery bell. He immediately pointed his finger and a faint demonic qi flew out from his hand and blocked the wishful staff. Contrary to Zhang Qingxiao's expectations, the wishful steel staff looked at his devil qi as if it was nothing. It directly blocked the devil qi and struck in front of him. Hiss! Zhang Qingxiao was shocked and wanted to move. But at this time, Xiao Hua's hand stopped. The wishful steel rod was firmly placed in front of him. He smiled and said, can I help you? Your staff is the 5 elements wishful heaven staff you were talking about? What kind of refining method is it? Understanding Xiao Hua's intentions, Zhang Qingxiao was overjoyed. It's not that simple. Xiao Hua put away the wishful steel rod and sighed. It's just a prototype. I'm not afraid of the devil qi. If you want, this thing can help you, right? Yes, of course it can. Zhang Qingxiao hurriedly nodded. If even my devil qi can't resist it, then the devil qi of others also can't resist it. Then, Zhang Qingxiao thought for a moment and said, how about this? You wait for my message. If I introduce you to someone who calls you the deputy sect leader of the Heavenly Demon Sect, you can kill him with a blow of your stick. Of course. Xiao Hua said proudly. Killing a few devil dwellers was not a burden to Xiao Hua. Alas, it's really at the end of the road. There's always a glimmer of hope. Zhang Qingxiao sighed. I didn't think that there would be a day when I could use junior brother. Well, why say more? Xiao Hua looked into the distance and smiled. If you and I talk too much, Others will be suspicious.
Well, okay.
Zhang Qingxiao nodded, but then shouted, "By the way, the rejuvenation pill in the Sky Patrol City was refined by you, right?" "How do you know?" Xiao Hua asked curiously. "Well, junior sister and Zhang Yutong's faces changed. How can I not know?" Zhang Qingxiao said snappily. "Ha ha ha, it turns out that you want to give the face-retaining pill to Zhang Yutong." Xiao Hua laughed. "Hey, if I don't give it to her, who should I give it to?" Zhang Qingxiao proudly said, "For me, she sold the Shenzhen sect to me. What's the big deal about giving her a pill?" "Well, I really didn't mean it. Maybe this is the legendary big boobs but no brain." Xiao Hua nodded with a lewd smile. Zhang Qingxiao sneered. "The big boobs are mine, the small boobs are mine. I'm happy. Don't be complacent too early," Xiao Hua said, then took out a storage bag and stuffed it to Zhang Qingxiao. "The rice seeds from last time must have been distributed. Take these and continue." Are you kidding me?" Zhang Qingxiao almost jumped up. "You haven't found the spiritual herbs I want yet. How can you get so many rice seeds? Don't you think I'm such an unkind person?" Xiao Hua couldn't help but laugh. "You still think you're kind?" Zhang Qingxiao's divine sense swept and was also slightly moved. The spiritual herbs recorded in the jade slip she gave Xiao Hua last time were all in the storage bag. "This is what I got for you in the Sky Patrol City." Xiao Hua smiled. "Don't be ungrateful." "I know." Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand. Although she didn't care, her heart was warm. She asked casually, "What do you need?" "Qianli pill and Lingli pill." Xiao Hua didn't hesitate. "If there is a brilliant gold attribute Jindan practice method, I will take it." "Humph. Gold attribute Jindan practice method. Forget it. I don't have it, and what do you want it for?" Zhang Qingxiao said bitterly. "However, there are some Qianli pill and Lingli pill here. Enough for you." Saying that, Zhang Qingxiao took out a few jade bottles and threw them to Xiao Hua. "I didn't expect you to just prepare to condense elixir." Zhang Qingxiao didn't forget to ask, "Then why is your spiritual power so strong?" "Why should I tell you?" Xiao Hua's divine sense swept the 2 jade bottles and saw 4 or 5 elixirs in them. He threw them into the space and said, "These are not enough. Help me find some more, or give me the prescriptions of these 2 elixirs." "What? These are not enough?" Zhang Qingxiao was shocked. "These are Qianli pill and Lingli pill. Do you think they are green beans? Besides, what do you want the prescriptions of these 2 elixirs? Can't Huayuan pill of the Baichao sect also condense elixir? Besides, the prescriptions of Qianli pill and Lingli pill are regarded as secrets by all sections. Although our heavenly demon sect has some strength. But if we covet the practitioners above Jindan realm, I'm afraid it won't work." Speaking of this, Zhang Qingxiao pondered a little and asked, "You can also bid in the Sentry City." "Ouch, how many do you want?" Zhang Qingxiao obviously thought of something. "The more, the better." Although Xiao Hua had the prescriptions of Lingli pill and Qianli pill, he didn't guarantee that he could refine Qianli pill and Lingli pill. Besides, he didn't have time to refine Huayuan pill. How could it be more convenient than ready-made elixirs? However, Xiao Hua wanted to keep his mouth shut, but it was too late for him to keep his mouth shut. Zhang Qingxiao naturally knew a lot from it. "Well, then I'll take my disciples to other big cities and auction places." Zhang Qingxiao knew that Qianli pill and Lingli pill were related to Xiao Hua's condensing elixir, so he didn't dare to be careless and nodded. "Well, if you find it, you can send me a message, or let your disciples go to the station of the Thunder Sect in the Sentry City to find me." Xiao Hua was not polite and looked around. "Can your magic matrix block their vision?" "Of course," Zhang Qingxiao said proudly. "Well, in this case, I'm leaving. If there's anything, I'll send you a message." Xiao Hua cupped his hands and said, "Okay." Zhang Qingxiao also nodded. "When you leave, I'll take my disciples to deal with this matter." "Well, you send Zhang Yutong back. If there's really something." "Alas, forget it, I'd better not show up." Xiao Hua suddenly thought of something and smiled bitterly. "If there's any fighting or killing, you can call me." "Ha ha ha, it seems that junior fellow apprentice has killed a lot of sword practitioners." Zhang Qingxiao laughed. Xiao Hua was angry and said coldly, "Isn't this all because of you?" Ha ha ha, Zhang Qingxiao was still laughing wildly and waved his hand. "Even if I did it, so what? You and I will fight sooner or later. Since you have a mission, let's do it according to the old agreement." Humph, Xiao Hua sneered, turned around and flew towards Li Zongbao and Xiao Mao in the distance. The two of them also flew very far away and were sitting in a depression on a mountain peak, so they could not see the situation of Xiao Hua and Zhang Qingxiao. "Is it done?" Li Zongbao only asked lightly. "Yes." Xiao Hua also gave a simple answer. Li Zongbao hesitated for a moment and added, "These few seem to be demonic cultivators, you have to be careful." "Thank you, Senior Fellow Apprentice Li." Xiao Hua smiled. "I didn't know at first, but I had some dealings with him. Later on, I found out that he was a demonic cultivator." "Well, that's good. Let's go." Li Zongbao's divine sense swept over and saw that Zhang Qingxiao and the others had put on the camouflage and were flying in the direction of the Huan Kingdom. He also waved his hand and led Xiao Hua and Xiao Mao to the direction of the Sky Patrol City. The two of them were flying in different directions. If Li Zongbao had not said, "Don't hurt my Dao Sect's disciples," they would not have met. Naturally, Li Zongbao repeated these words several times along the way. However, Xiao Hua only steered the flowing cloud flying ship and didn't make a move. This time, Li Zongbao led Xiao Mao in killing. Xiao Mao's ferocity and courage to fight was especially appreciated by Li Zongbao. Li Zongbao saw that Xiao Mao was no longer as unfamiliar as before. He even inadvertently gave Xiao Mao some pointers on how to use the whip. Xiao Hua watched from the side and was also happy. However, this period was over very quickly. On this day, when Li Zongbao commanded the flowing cloud flying ship to fly between snow-capped mountains, he heard Li Zongbao say in a low voice, "Xiao Hua, stop the flying ship." "Yes." Xiao Hua was already in a daze from flying. How could he know where they were? He only knew that they should be near the teleportation array. He did not think that Li Zongbao would be as stupid as him and fly directly back to the Sky Patrol City. Sure enough, Li Zongbao clapped his hand and took out his token. He cast a spell and a light rose from the magic treasure and flew to the front left of the flying ship. Without waiting for Li Zongbao's order, Xiao Hua urged the flying ship to follow the light. However, after flying for less than a meal, many similar flowing cloud flying ships flew out from the mountain range in front of them. "Damn it!" Xiao Hua spat. Needless to say, they must be the disciples of the Seven Skills sect. Chapter 2432. If Xiao Hua was alone, he would have put the flowing cloud airship into his space. However, there were Xiao Mao and Li Zongbao on the airship. It was inconvenient for him to do that and he was afraid of losing face. He could only drive the airship forward. The disciples of the Seven Skills sect looked over and were puzzled. "You're a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect. Where did you get the flowing cloud airship from? Quickly return it to our Seven Skills sect." A disciple in the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment stage who was leading the group shouted. Li Zongbao looked at him coldly and didn't say anything. Xiao Hua stopped the airship and walked to Li Zongbao's side. "Ayo! Isn't this fellow cultivator Li Zongbao from the Utmost Happiness sect? What's wrong? Our Seven Skills sect's flowing cloud airship. Where did you get it?" More than 10 airships surrounded Xiao Hua's airship and blocked it in the middle. Li Zongbao's eyes didn't move, as if he didn't hear them at all. Although he was very famous, he was still a disciple of the Utmost Happiness sect in Meng country. The Seven Skills sect was a famous sect in Shi country. How could Li Zongbao take them seriously? Even if there were some taboos, he definitely wouldn't treat them with respect. Hee hee. Xiao Hua flew over and sneered. "So it's fellow cultivator from the Seven Skills sect. What's wrong with I's airship? What's wrong?" The Foundation Establishment stage disciple glanced at the silent Li Zongbao and sneered. "Can't you see that your airship is the same as our Seven Skills sect's airship?" "Same. Why can't I see it?" Xiao Hua asked curiously. "This airship was taken from the sword cultivator by I. What does it have to do with your Seven Skills sect?" "Isn't that obvious? Our airship was taken by the sword cultivator." Another young Qi refinement stage disciple said anxiously. "That's why you took it from the sword cultivator." "Oh, so you know about it too." Xiao Hua suddenly smiled. "If that's the case, you should ask the sword cultivator for it. Why did you ask I to return the airship to you?" Fellow Taoist, your words are meaningless. The Imperial Thunder Sect and my 7 Possibilities Sect are both sects from the state of Shi. We are currently defending the Sky Patrol City against the enemy. My 7 Possibilities Sect's flying boat was taken by a sword cultivator. My 7 Possibilities Sect will definitely be grateful that you were able to retrieve it. You have an obligation to return the flying boat to my 7 Possibilities Sect. Otherwise, I will report this matter to the conference hall. Not only will fellow Taoist fail, but you will also be in the wrong. How strange! Xiao Hua clapped his hands and said, "The things I get from sword cultivators have always been taken by myself. How can I return them to others?" Hee, fellow Taoist, there's something you don't know. The Foundation Establishment cultivator sneered, medicinal pills, spiritual herbs, and other things can naturally be left behind. Cultivation techniques, jade slips, and the like must be returned. Really? Xiao Hua, on the other hand, was slightly startled. He had only heard of this before. As long as something was seized from a sword cultivator or picked up by oneself, it would belong to oneself, and there was no need to return it to others. On the side, Li Zongbao's expression was calm, and he didn't say anything. He had clearly told Xiao Hua that if anything happened to the flying boat, he could use his name, and he would take responsibility for it. However, Xiao Hua didn't mention his name, so Li Zongbao couldn't say anything. Moreover, the 7 Skills Sect disciple had said that there were clear rules, but who would abide by them in a war? Who wouldn't put it in their own storage pouch? He was confident that even if the 7 Skills Sect disciple saw the flying boat, he definitely wouldn't return it. What about the flying boat? Xiao Hua blinked and asked. As long as it's related to the war supplies of each sect, it must be returned. The 7 Skills Sect disciple said arrogantly. Oh, as long as it's related to the war supplies of each sect. Xiao Hua smiled. Did you mention the 7 Skills Sect's flowing cloud flying boat? Our 7 Skills Sect's flowing cloud flying boat is naturally our 7 Skills Sect's war supplies, so of course there's no need to specifically mention it. The aura refining disciple shouted, flustered and exasperated. Fellow Taoist, do you not want to return it? Shut up. Xiao Hua said coldly. I'm a Foundation Establishment cultivator. You're senior. Who's talking about fellow Taoist with you? In my eyes, this flying boat is my spoils of war. I got it from killing a sword cultivator. If you want it, go ask that dead sword cultivator. Don't ask me. As he spoke, Xiao Hua waved his hand and the flowing cloud flying boat entered his space. You. The aura refining disciple was furious, but he didn't dare to say anything. As for the middle Foundation Establishment cultivator, his face was ashen. Fellow Taoist, are you determined to oppose my 7 Skills Sect? What do you mean oppose? I came to Sky Patrol City to kill sword cultivators and oppose sword cultivators. Xiao Hua mocked. Could it be that your 7 Skills Sect is opposing my Thunder Control Sect? Fellow Taoist, are you not going to return my 7 Skills Sect's flowing cloud flying boat? You're wrong. This is my flying boat. It's not called Flowing Cloud Flying Boat, and it's definitely not your 7 Skills Sect's Flowing Cloud Flying Boat. Xiao Hua corrected him word by word. Whether it's my 7 Skills Sect's Flowing Cloud Flying Boat or not, it's not up to you to decide. As long as you take out the Flowing Cloud Flying Boat, I can naturally point out whether it's my 7 Skills Sect's Flowing Cloud Flying Boat or not. The cultivator said confidently. TCH. Do you think I'm the idiot who gave the flying boat to a sword cultivator? Xiao Hua sneered. The flying boat is in your hands, and you're still going to dawdle with me? Hearing Xiao Hua say, I'm your father again and again, the Foundation Establishment cultivator's anger rose. He asked, Fellow Taoist, are you refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit? I've never drunk spiritual wine. Don't try to make friends with me. Xiao Hua appeared to be somewhat overbearing. Senior Martial Brother Zhu. Capture him. Naturally, you can get the Flowing Cloud Flying Boat. A cultivator on the Flowing Cloud Flying Boat next to him reminded. As long as we don't kill him, the conference hall won't say anything. Senior Martial Brother Zhu raised his eyebrows. He was clearly tempted. Humph. Seeing this, Xiao Hua sneered. I'll remind you that if you force me to make a move, the consequences won't be something you can imagine. Ha ha ha, Senior Martial Brother Zhu laughed loudly. He flew out from the flying boat and said, "So what if I force you to make a move? I'm in the right." With that, he slapped his hand and a crutch-shaped magic treasure flew out of his storage pouch. All right, Xiaohua also moved and took out his Yang-leaf fan. At the same time, he swept his gaze across the crowd of 7 Possibilities sect disciples who were ready to watch the show. Obviously, Xiaohua didn't plan to let any of them go. Li Zongbao had naturally seen Xiaohua's might and couldn't help but frown. He could kill sword cultivators without blinking, but he still had some misgivings when facing Dao sect disciples. He didn't know what Xiaohua saw at Chicken Crow Mountain. This senior martial brother Zhu, who was in the middle stage of foundation establishment, had the same tone as Han Bing. Seeing that Xiaohua and senior martial brother Zhu were about to fight, Li Zongbao couldn't help but shout, "Wait!" At the same time, a wait came from behind the 7 Possibilities sect disciples. Everyone turned around and saw a golden core cultivator coldly standing in the air. "Greetings, senior." The 7 Possibilities sect disciples knew that this golden core cultivator was the cultivator from Sky Patrol City, who was in charge of the transportation formation. They hurriedly bowed and greeted him. "You guys are really skilled and talented." The golden core cultivator sneered, "You guys haven't gone far from the transportation formation and haven't seen any sword cultivators, yet your magic treasures are about to hit our fellow Taoists. Our Tao sect cultivators have handsome talents like you. It's impossible for us not to lose." Hearing this, Xiaohua and senior martial brother Zhu hurriedly put away their magic treasures. Senior martial brother Zhu hurriedly flew over and smiled apologetically. How could this junior be so impetuous? "It's just that this Imperial Thunder sect disciple took our 7 Possibilities sect's flowing cloud flying boat and this junior wants it back." "Is the flowing cloud flying boat more important or your mission more important?" The golden core cultivator asked bluntly. "Is the merit of you leading a group of 7 Possibilities sect disciples to complete the mission or the merit of taking back the flowing cloud flying boat more important?" "Yes, this disciple understands." Senior martial brother Zhu's face reddened. Clearly, the golden core cultivator's last sentence hit the nail on the head. "This disciple will set off now." Senior martial brother Zhu turned to look at Xiaohua and sneered, "Fellow Taoist is truly amazing. Would you be willing to give me a name?" "Imperial Thunder Sect Xiaohua." Xiaohua stared at the disciple and bluntly asked, "And who are you?" "7 Possibilities Sect's Zhu Qingjie." Zhu Qingjie turned around and flew onto the flying boat, shouting, "Fellow Taoist Xiao, we'll meet again someday." "Humph, I'll be waiting for you." Xiaohua sneered, "I hope your flying boat won't be taken by this Xiao from a sword cultivator's hands again." "Ha ha ha, don't worry about that. Even if this flying boat is taken away, you still have the flying boat in your storage bag." Zhu Qingjie ordered his disciple to activate the flowing cloud flying boat. The 7 Possibilities sect disciple finally left. The golden core cultivator glanced at Xiaohua indifferently and said, "What should be returned should be returned. Rather than having someone chase after you and demand it back, why not take it out and receive a reward? Moreover, looking at your fierce appearance, it seems like you want to kill the 7 Possibilities sect disciple? Your ability is greater than Qian Mo's Ah. This disciple doesn't dare." Xiaohua said respectfully, "This disciple only feels that this flying boat was snatched from a sword cultivator by risking my life. There's no reason for me to give it away so easily. No merit, no reward, nothing is more practical than this flying boat." "Humph, you want money more than your life." The golden core cultivator sneered. Just as he was about to turn around, he suddenly thought of something and looked up and down at Xiaohua, asking, "Oh right, you're the Imperial Thunder Sect disciple that left through this old man's transportation array 5 years ago?" Xiaohua naturally recognized this golden core cultivator long ago. Seeing that the golden core cultivator actually recognized him, he could only bow and say, "Senior has a good memory, I am indeed this disciple." You're the only one left in your team, right? If all 9 of you died and only you were left, this old man can understand your feelings." "Senior knows," Xiaohua said proudly. "My Imperial Thunder Sect's first team didn't lose a single disciple." "You're from the Imperial Thunder Sect's first team?" The golden core cultivator was slightly shocked. Didn't the first team only have 3 female cultivators that survived? "Oh." Xiaohua was equally surprised and asked back, "What? Senior knows about my Imperial Thunder Sect's first team?" Could it be that the other 6 disciples of my first team didn't return? Xiaohua turned to look at Li Zongbao. Chapter 24:33. No, he must be back. Li Zongbao shook his head and said, although this senior is not in charge of the secret teleportation array, it must lead directly to Sky Patrol City. That's strange. Xiaohua scratched his head, and the golden core cultivator had a strange expression on his face. However, this expression disappeared in a flash, and the golden core cultivator asked, are you going back to Sky Patrol City? Do you have a token? When Li Zongbao took out the token, the golden core cultivator checked the token and sent Xiaohua and the other 2 into the transmission array. Only then did the golden core cultivator look at the gradually disappearing transmission array, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth as he muttered to himself, hee hee, the Imperial Thunder Sect is indeed interesting. But then the smile on the golden core cultivator's face disappeared. He reached out and took out a disc-shaped array. He frowned and said, which cultivator's spiritual sense was it? How could it be so powerful? Or was it a sword cultivator? No matter who it is, my teleportation array is going to change location again. Xiaohua and the others came out of the teleportation array. Although they had used the yellow talisman, they were still not used to it. As soon as Li Zongbao and Xiao Mao walked out of the teleportation array, they sat cross-legged in an empty space in the distance and closed their eyes to adjust their breathing. Xiaohua naturally followed. Just as Xiaohua was pretending, the teleportation array flashed and 3 late-stage golden core cultivators appeared. Isn't this fellow Taoist Qing Bai? The golden core cultivator who was in charge of the teleportation array saw them from afar, and hurriedly walked over and cupped his hands to the graceful female cultivator in front of him. Hee hee, so it's fellow Taoist Bingyu. I haven't seen you for many years, but you're still as charming as ever. The female cultivator looked at the middle-stage golden core cultivator and smiled. I wouldn't dare. How can I be compared to fellow Taoist Qing Bai's beauty and youth? Bingyu hurriedly waved his hands modestly and said, besides, I haven't made any progress in my cultivation after so many years. On the other hand, fellow Taoist Qing Bai obtained an opportunity and soared to the sky. You're about to conceive a baby. I'm really envious. No matter how beautiful I am, I can't compare to the rejuvenation pill of your Sky Patrol City. Qing Bai covered her mouth and giggled. It was obvious that she enjoyed it. However, she still said, I came here today to ask for a rejuvenation pill from fellow Taoist Wen. When Bingyu heard this, her face was extremely unnatural. She smiled apologetically and said, if it's something else, I can still try my best, but that thing. Cough cough. Fellow Taoist Qing Bai said it in vain. Why don't you just tell Tu Hong directly when you see him? He's now the mayor's favorite. Fellow Taoist Frostfeather. Why are you only exchanging pleasantries with fellow Taoist Qing Bai? Do you think we're nothing? A white-haired golden core cultivator next to him teased. Could it be that you have the same thoughts as fellow Taoist too? Bah! Qing Bai spat lightly, but she wasn't angry. No. Bingyu hurriedly bowed and said, I greet fellow Taoist Yun Chen and fellow Taoist Ji Fan. However, fellow Taoist Qing Bai walked in front of me, so I just said a few words. Hee hee. Greetings fellow Taoist Frostfeather. Although Yun Chen and Ji Fan's cultivations were higher, they still bowed and talked to each other as if they were peers. As they spoke, several teleportation arrays flashed, and more than 10 foundation establishment and chi refinement disciples of various sects came out of the teleportation arrays. When they saw the golden core cultivators here, they all bowed respectfully. However, because they had just come out of the teleportation arrays, they all felt dizzy and uncomfortable. Forget it, let's hurry up and leave. Qing Bai said with a smile, we're really holding up fellow Taoist Frostfeather's task. Bingyu also nodded and said, today is fellow Taoist Tu's happy occasion. So many fellow Taoists have come to congratulate him. I will wait here. When I'm not busy later, I will go to Tu Hong's residence to exchange pleasantries with you. Then Bingyu raised her head and shouted, guards, take the 3 division masters there. Hee hee, there's no need for that. Yun Chen waved his hand and said, it's not like we haven't been to Tu Hong's residence before. Why bother? Well fine. You're old friends of Patrol City and Tu Hong's close friends. You're not outsiders, so I won't stand on ceremony. Well said, well said. Qing Bai and the other two division masters cupped their hands and walked out quickly. What's Tu Hong's happy occasion? Xiao Hua, who was next to him, heard it clearly. Although he did not open his eyes, he had some doubts in his heart. Tu Hong had ambushed the disciples of the first team of the thunder-controlling sect in the abandoned mineral vein. Although they were not sent out to fight the enemy, they were completely trapped in the formation and had no chance of survival. If it were not for Xiao Hua, who was lucky to have the protection of the Phoenix celestial body, the 7 of them would have been killed. Xiao Hua did not know Tu Hong's purpose, but did he need to know? If others did not offend him, he would not offend them. If others offended him, he would kill them. In Xiao Hua's eyes, Tu Hong was already a dead man. Xiao Hua did not want to participate in the battle of the spiritual stone vein. On one hand, he did not want to reveal his strength. On the other hand, he wanted to return to Patrol City and see if there was a chance to kill Tu Hong. To be honest, in the entire Patrol City, among the hundreds of thousands of cultivators, Xiao Hua was only afraid of the Xueyu sage. He wanted to see if there was a chance to kill Tu Hong without the Xueyu sage knowing. However, he did not expect to hear about Tu Hong's good news just as he came out of the teleportation formation. How could he not pay attention to it? What good news? Xiao Hua muttered. Could it be that he has entered the middle stage of the Golden Core Realm? Or the late stage of the Golden Core Realm? So what? I'll kill them all. Junior brother Xiao, how's your rest? Li Zongbao's voice came. Well, I'm good. Xiao Hua and Xiao Mao's voices came at the same time. Xiao Hua heard it and smiled. He opened his eyes and said, Senior brother Li, you don't have to be polite in the future. Just call me by my name. Well, Li Zongbao nodded, stood up and said, in that case, we'll go to the meeting hall. But at this moment, the nearest teleportation formation flashed with black and white brilliance. A middle-stage foundation establishment disciple of the Xuanyan school appeared from the teleportation formation covered in blood. Beside him was a Patrol City disciple supporting him. However, just as the two figures appeared, the Xuanyan school disciple staggered and spat out a mouthful of dirty blood. He fainted on the Patrol City disciple's body. What happened? Bingyu saw it and did not dare to be negligent. She hurriedly flew over and shouted, reporting to Marshal Aunt Bingyu. The Patrol City disciple hurriedly shouted, this Xuanyan school disciple came from the Gale Snowfield. He said that Xuanyan school attacked the spiritual stone vein occupied by the sword cultivators. In the end they were ambushed. Qin Jian and the other illusory sword cultivators had already set up a trap and all the Golden Core Realm cultivators were killed. When the words came out, the whole place was silent. Chapter 24:34. Hiss, Bingyu sucked in a breath of cold air and hurriedly stopped the cultivator's voice. Shut up! How can this matter be announced here? Wait until we report to the Yanxi Mansion's council hall, and ask the masters of each sect to make a decision. Yes, disciple understands. The Sky Patrol City disciple also came to his senses and hurriedly replied. However, there were many cultivators in the teleportation array, and even a few had already walked to the entrance of the cave, so they had already heard the words of the Sky Patrol City disciple. Bingyu raised his head and was about to stop the cultivators who hurried out, but he hesitated and gave up the idea. The Sky Patrol City disciple had already come over and helped the Xuanyan school disciple to the side to rest. Xiao Hua and the other two were also shocked, but Li Zongbao was even more shocked. No one knew better than Li Zongbao that there were more than a dozen gold core cultivators. He thought it was a piece of cake, so he did not get involved. He did not expect that these gold core cultivators would be killed by Qin Jian and the others. Xiao Hua also regretted, damn it, this is Qin Jian, and more than a dozen illusory swordsmen. I killed them all. What a great contribution. At this time, Xiao Mao looked around and did not see any Xuanyan school disciple, so he walked forward and bowed. Disciple is Xiao Mao of Xuanyan school. I am going to Yanxi Mansion now. Leave this disciple to me. Who would have thought that Bingyu would coldly look at Xiao Mao, then look at Li Zongbao and Xiao Hua? She said indifferently. You all should be busy with your own matters. Since this disciple has already been caught by my Sky Patrol City's disciple, it would be better for my Sky Patrol City's disciple to send him to the Yanxi Mansion. This Xiao Mao was so embarrassed. Let's go. Li Zongbao did not even look at this side and said lightly, then stepped out of the cave of the teleportation array. Xiao Hua also snorted from his nose, while Xiao Mao sighed. He glanced at the Xuanyan school disciple who did not know the situation and hurriedly chased after him. Senior brother Li out of the cave, Xiaohua whispered. Fortunately, we did not go otherwise. It seems like Sword Cultivator has already planned this. Li Zongbao pursed his lips and squinted his eyes. This might be Qin Jian's idea. It's not like that bastard isn't in the Gale Snowy Plains. Presumably, he's also attacking the Spirit Stone Mine of Xuanyan School. While you sneaked into the Spirit Stone Mine, he released those hundreds of Xuanyan School disciples as bait, making people think that the Spirit Stone Mine's defenses aren't good enough and can be attacked. You didn't fall for it, but Gao Chengyuan and the others did. That's right. Xiao Hua's heart was also moved, but his thoughts were different from Li Zongbao's. Xiao Hua didn't know if Qin Jian was in the Spirit Stone Mine, but Guanpeng was there, and Guanpeng was very cooperative with Xiao Hua's plan. Could it be that this was really done by Qin Jian, and Guanpeng was just going with the flow? Xiao Hua frowned. If that's the case, I'm afraid it's not appropriate to deceive that senior. Forget it, that beast cultivator has already escaped, and he's still calling himself Terrifying Phoenix. My name has long been known by others. That beast cultivator will definitely think that I'm the one who killed Feng Buping. I'll just give up the soaring dragon scissors and throw it to him when we meet. Xiao Hua thought, and the three of them walked on the streets of Sky Patrol City. Sky Patrol City today was different from a few days ago. The sky was not gloomy, and the sun shone faintly in the thin sky. It was not too strong, not too glaring, but rather gentle. Senior brother Li, Xiao Hua thought of something and said in a low voice. Previously, the first team of Imperial Thunder Sect disciples were sent back to Sky Patrol City by you and I, right? But why doesn't that Golden Core Stage teacher know about it? It's been a few days. The news can't have not spread in Sky Patrol City, right? Moreover, I've seen what happened in the teleportation device just now. Everything is controlled by the disciples of Sky Patrol City. I'm worried, so I want to go back to the station of Imperial Thunder Sect to have a look. Although Xiao Hua said so, he did not dare to tell the truth. He was worried that once Cui Hongshan and the others arrived at the teleportation device of Sky Patrol City, Tu Hong would beat them to it. He was not sure what would happen. Li Zongbao frowned and looked deeply at Xiao Hua. Then he said, if something happens, you can't go back to Imperial Thunder Sect. You'd better go to Yanxi Mansion first. As long as the Golden Core Stage teachers see you, are you afraid that something will happen? Yes. Although Xiao Mao did not understand, a bystander could see more clearly. He said hurriedly, if something happens, it will have happened long ago. Senior brother Xiao, you should think about yourself first. Senior brother Li's words. I think it's very good. Moreover, according to what you two said, didn't the disciples of the Utopia faction send them here? You can ask the disciples of the Utopia faction, right? Well, that's right. Li Zongbao nodded. He clapped his hands and took out the messaging charm. After saying a few words, he raised his hand and sent it out. Xiao Hua thought about it carefully. Xiao Mao and Li Zongbao's words were reasonable, so he could only give up. He followed Li Zongbao to Yanxi Mansion. After turning a few streets, it was a straight street. At this time, the street was decorated with red and green decorations, and it was very festive. Moreover, the flow of people on this street was obviously more than the others. Many cultivators in the late stage of Foundation Establishment or Golden Core Stage came in and out, accompanied by disciples of Sky Patrol City. Xiao Hua rolled his eyes and saw a disciple of Sky Patrol City sending off a guest. He hurriedly stepped forward and cupped his hands. Fellow cultivator, please. I don't dare. What can I do for you, Martial Uncle of Imperial Thunder Sect? The disciple did not dare to neglect and bowed in return. Oh, I just came back from outside Sky Patrol City and saw that this place is very festive. I don't know what happened. Please tell me. Xiao Hua asked with a smile. Naturally, this is the dual cultivation ceremony of my Lord General Tu Hong. The disciple said proudly, this matter was decided as early as 5 years ago, but our General Tu's injury has not healed, so it has been delayed. It was not until recently that we reported this matter to the City Lord. The City Lord personally gave an order and ordered our Sky Patrol City to take care of it. 5 years ago? Xiao Hua nodded. That's when Senior Tu Hong returned from the Jin Quan Mountain Spirit Stone Vein. That's right. The disciple smiled. That year, our Sky Patrol city had a great victory in Jinquan Mountain, killing tens of thousands of sword cultivators, and even more than 20 illusory swordsmen. It was really due to our General Tu Hong's credit, and General Tu Hong was also injured because of it. However, General Tu Hong was blessed by heaven. After receiving the City Lord's elixir, his cultivation base was broken and now he is all ready. Oh, General Tu Hong's credit has long been familiar to me. Xiaohua smiled and stopped the disciple's love for the city, and asked, I just don't know which senior General Tu Hong is going to marry? Which sect is this senior from? Naturally. That disciple glanced at Xiaohua's Taoist robe, and was just about to answer with a smile when he heard an extremely surprised and trembling voice behind Xiaohua. Xiaohua, is that you? Xiaohua and Xiao Mao both turned around. However, while Xiao Mao was stunned, Xiaohua's face was filled with ecstasy. He no longer cared about what the Sky Patrol City's disciple said. He stretched out his hand and shouted, Hong Xia. Behind Xiaohua, there were several disciples in brocade robes. There were men and women, the men were handsome, the women were beautiful, and walking in front was Fairy Hong Xia, who was wearing a white robe and had a white xiaohua in her hair. Fairy Hong Xia was originally very beautiful, and she was usually very dazzling when she wore fiery red clothes. But now she had changed into a white robe, and there was a thick worry on her handsome face that could not be removed, which made people's hearts ache as much as they wanted. At this moment, Fairy Hong Xia's eyes were wide open, and although the worry was hanging on her eyebrows, it was washed away by the sudden surprise. Her figure was like a dancing butterfly, happily flying over, and she did not care about the gazes of others. When Fairy Hong Xia threw herself into Xiaohua's arms, she firmly hugged Xiaohua's slender waist, as if Xiaohua would fly away if she loosened her grip a little. At this moment, the two female cultivators next to Fairy Hong Xia exclaimed, and looked at Fairy Hong Xia, who buried her head deeply in Xiaohua's chest with an incredulous look. The other four male cultivators were even more jealous, and their eyes were almost spitting fire. They stared at Xiaohua's arm, and really wanted to transform into that arm and hug Fairy Hong Xia's voluptuous body. Unfortunately, this arm was Xiaohua's. Xiaohua hugged Fairy Hong Xia's warm body, and felt the heat from her mouth and nose. If they were not on the street, he would have kissed her long ago. Looking down at Fairy Hong Xia's slightly closed eyes, and the slight wrinkles at the corner of her eyes, Xiaohua sighed. He had been separated from Fairy Hong Xia for dozens of years, and a beauty would age easily, and he was not by her side. When she heard the news of his death, she must be very anxious, right? Previously, Xiao Mao did not know who Fairy Hong Xia was. However, when he saw the Huanhua sex attire, he immediately understood. He looked at Xiaohua with extreme envy. Of course, everyone had a beauty in their heart. The one he was thinking of was naturally Qin Jian. Only Li Zongbao's eyelids twitched. Naturally, he had already recognized Fairy Hong Xia. He recognized that her face bore some resemblance to Kai Zhuoxia. Involuntarily, he thought of that dark-skinned, indifferent beauty. The disciple from the Sky Patrol City also smiled, and quietly left. This place was only for lovers. Cough cough, seeing that many cultivators were looking at them, Li Zongbao came to his senses and coughed a few times. Xiaohua did not mind, but Fairy Hong Xia could not stand it. She let go of Xiaohua's slender waist with a red face, and pushed Xiaohua away, leaving Xiaohua's embrace. Then she looked around, bit her lips, and stared at Xiaohua's face, and then turned to look at Li Zongbao. When she saw Li Zongbao's white hair in his robe, she immediately became respectful, and bowed. Huanhua Sex Kai Hong Xia greets senior brother Li Zongbao. Chapter 2435. Li Zongbao looked at Kai Zhuoxia's sister and his mood had calmed down. He replied and returned the greeting. However, Fairy Hong Xia did not recognize Xiao Mao. Xiao Mao hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. Xiao Mao from Xuanyan School greets Fairy Hong Xia. Brother Xiao has mentioned you many times in front of me. Fairy Hong Xia was stunned. She did not understand the relationship between Xiao Mao and Xiao Hua. After all, they both had the surname Xiao. Xiao Mao is a good brother of mine. Xiao Hua explained. I see. Fairy Hong Xia came to a realization. She had never heard Xiao Hua mention Xiao Mao before. Hence, she returned the greeting. Greetings junior brother Xiao. Why have you come to Sky Patrol City? Xiao Hua asked curiously as he sensed Fairy Hong Xia's cultivation. She had already entered the late stage of foundation establishment. Fairy Hong Xia smiled as a thin layer of red covered her face. She whispered, "When I heard about your death, I was unable to cultivate in the valley. Coincidentally, my Huanhua sect had a sect master's order to mobilize disciples to Sky Patrol City. I begged my master to come out and look for you. I don't believe that I won't be able to see you again in this lifetime." Of course. Xiao Hua's heart felt warm as he reached out to hold Fairy Hong Xia's hand. He smiled. Why? Who am I? What does a mere Jin Shan Quan count for? You're so annoying. Fairy Hong Xia pursed her lips and said, "Where have you been all these years?" At this moment, Fairy Hong Xia's eyes were filled with Xiao Hua. She had long forgotten about the disciples who had followed him here. When those disciples saw Li Zongbao beside them, they wanted to go over but were somewhat timid. "Of course I've been cultivating." Xiao Hua did not evade and said confidently, "When I'm free, I'll let you experience my prowess." These words had a double meaning, causing Fairy Hong Xia's face to turn red. Her eyes were overflowing with lust as if they were about to flow out. "Where have you been?" Fairy Hong Xia asked shyly. "I've been to your Imperial Thundersex encampment. There was no news of you. Why have you suddenly appeared here?" "Oh, I'll tell you the details when I have time." Xiao Hua looked at Li Zongbao, who had been looking ahead, and said, "This Xiao is currently heading to the Yanxi Mansion's conference hall. I just happened to pass by here, and saw that it was very lively, as if there was some happy occasion." What about the disciples in Tu Hong's residence? Only now did Xiao Hua remember that disciple. He turned his head to look, but there was no trace of him. "Oh, I see." Fairy Hong Xia understood and said with a smile, "All the cultivators in Sky Patrol City know about this. You can ask anyone. Senior Tu Hongtu is going to hold the dual cultivation ceremony in a few dozen days. It was said that this matter was decided 5 years ago." "Oh right. Ji Mingxiu, come over here later." At this point, Fairy Hong Xia followed Xiao Hua's gaze and saw the disciples of the Huanhua sect. Her face turned red and she hurriedly waved her hand, indicating for the few Foundation Establishment middle and early stage disciples to come over. "This senior brother is Li Zongbao from the Utopia faction. He is senior brother Li." Fairy Hong Xia's face was flushed, and she seemed to be much younger. She introduced, "This is Xiao Mao Xiao from the Xuanyan school. This is Xiao Hua from the Imperial Thunder sect." The female cultivator with bright eyes, Ji Mingxiu, immediately smiled and said, "So it's the famous Imperial Thunder sect's first team member, senior brother Xiao. You're really talented. No wonder you can make the famous Fairy Hong Xia of my Huanhua sect admire you. These two famous people are really not just for show." "Mingxiu." Fairy Hong Xia glared at her with some shame and anger. If it was any other day, Ji Mingxiu would definitely be afraid. But at this time, she knew that Fairy Hong Xia was just shy and would not be afraid. She bowed and said, "Greetings senior brother Li, junior brother Xiao, greetings." "Senior brother Xiao." Hee. Seeing everyone greet each other, Xiao Hua also smiled and greeted the disciples of the Huanhua sect generously. This was the first time he revealed his relationship with Fairy Hong Xia in front of everyone. No matter what, he could not lose face for Fairy Hong Xia. At this time, a messaging charm flew over and fell in front of Li Zongbao. Li Zongbao reached out and took it. He looked at it with his divine thought and sent a message to Xiao Hua. "Cui Hongshan and the other 5 people have already arrived at the Sky Patrol City. According to Zhang Xin, he was going to take them directly to the conference hall of the Yanxi Prefecture. But Cui Hongshan insisted on going back to the Imperial Thunder Sect Station. He had to send them back to the Imperial Thunder Sect Station and see them enter the station with his own eyes. Then he returned to the station of the Utopia faction." What's going on?" Xiao Hua was stunned. He, senior brother Xiao." Ji Mingxiu said with a smile, "Senior brother, when will you hold the dual cultivation ceremony? If you can go with senior too, maybe the immortal of the Shui region will also attend your dual cultivation ceremony." Fairy Hong Xia blushed and glared at Ji Mingxiu fiercely. Xiao Hua said absent-mindedly, "How could the immortal of the Shui region attend my dual cultivation ceremony?" Ha ha ha. Two disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect are going to hold a dual cultivation ceremony in the Sky Patrol City. The immortal of the Shui region showed respect to that disciple. Why don't you also show respect to this disciple? Anyway, the Sky Patrol City is also connected to the Imperial Thunder Sect by marriage. Ji Mingxiu said with a smile. Who is Tu Hong going to do dual cultivation with? A disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect? Xiao Hua was in a good mood when he saw Fairy Hong Xia. His hatred for Tu Hong also disappeared a little. At this time, he was concerned about Cui Hongshan's life and death. He didn't find anything strange, so he just asked casually. Fairy Hong Xia glanced at him and said with a smile, "Of course you know this person. Don't tell me you've come back for her?" I know her. Xiao Hua held Fairy Hong Xia's hand gently with his hand and seemed to enjoy it very much. He didn't mind Fairy Hong Xia's teasing. She is the female disciple of the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect who survived. Ji Mingxiu said with a smile, "Senior brother Xiao, don't say that you don't know her. Otherwise, senior sister Hong Xia will be angry." Is it the bright eyes of the Imperial Thunder Sect? Xiao Hua suddenly froze. He seemed to have a premonition, but he still asked. Haha, I knew it. Senior brother Xiao, you are really dishonest. Ji Mingxiu was very happy. Could it be Dui Ling? Xiao Hua's face was a little gloomy. He knew in his heart that Dui Ling was still young. Why would Tu Hong want to do dual cultivation with him? Of course, he couldn't rule out Liao Xuanlan's situation. Fairy Hong Xia also raised her eyebrows and glanced at Xiao Hua with her beautiful eyes. There are 3 female disciples of the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect. You guessed 2 of them wrong. Boom. Xiao Hua's head was in a daze. It was as if he was struck by lightning. Although he had a premonition, he still felt extremely surprised when he heard the truth. Dui Qiming of the Imperial Thunder Sect? When the disciple took the token, Gao Wei said again, before returning to the station, "Change your Taoist robe and take the healing elixir." Yes, disciple understands. The disciple's face was slightly embarrassed and he retreated with the 2 Sky Patrol City disciples. What do you all want to say? Seeing that Gao Wei had arranged for his own disciples, Li Chengxiu opened his mouth. This old man also did not expect that the news of the loss of Xuanyan School's spirit stone lode would be followed by news of the deaths of more than 10 Jindan stage cultivators. Alas, fortune does not come in pairs and misfortune does not come singly. Fellow Taoist Gao Tu Hong, who was sitting on the futon, was still dressed in martial attire. He looked at the silent crowd and said, "Gao Chengyuan, when did fellow Taoist Gao go to the spirit stone lode of the Xuanyan School? As far as I know, fellow Taoist Gao should have gone to the west of the Gale snowfield to attack the sword cultivator station. Moreover, it was my turn to be on duty that day. I remember clearly that there were only 4 golden core cultivators and not more than 10, right?" Gao Wei was at a loss for words. Tu Hong was right. Gao Chengyuan did not go to the spirit stone lode of the Xuanyan School. When he went out, the assembly hall did not know about the loss of the spirit stone lode. At that time, the spirit stone lode was still in the hands of the Xuanyan School. Gao Chengyuan led many golden core cultivators to attack the spirit stone lode. On the surface, it was to seize the spirit stone lode before the sword cultivators took control of the spirit stone lode and recover the losses of the Xuanyan School. On the other hand, it was because he was fond of grandiose achievements. When he saw a merit that could be easily obtained, he threw his task aside. If it was more serious, it would mean that he did not listen to the assembly hall's instructions and acted on his own accord. If he died, he deserved it. Although junior brother Gao Chengyuan's task was not the spirit stone lode, since he was passing by and saw the sword cultivator's arrogance, how could he not be filled with righteous indignation? Lending a hand was also what the Dao sect cultivators advocated during the war. Lu Xinwu of the Songhua sect glanced at Gao Wei, who was too embarrassed to refute, and continued the conversation. If they only had 4 golden core cultivators to fall. Naturally, I would recommend commending Gao Chengyuan. Tu Hong said unhurriedly, although the spirit stone lode was also the work of the Xuanyan School, seeing their own property fall into the hands of thieves, no one could stand by and do nothing. But they were more than 10 golden core cultivators. That day, when I asked Gao Chengyuan to attack the sword cultivator station, He was extremely evasive. He said that he did not have any golden core cultivators and was afraid that it would be impossible to take down the station. It could even be said that I was striking a stone with an egg. I was using my heel to command. Where did his dozen or so gold core cultivators come from? Gao Wei was just about to open his mouth to explain, but Tu Hong simply didn't give him the opportunity to explain, and once again aggressively rushed to say, "These dozen Jindan stage cultivators are the disciples that your Xuanyan school sent to participate in the battle? Or did you not send any disciples to participate in the war? Since they were not sent to participate in the war, why did your Xuanyan school say that there were not enough golden core cultivators to participate in the war? Since they could participate in the war and came to the Sky Patrol City, why couldn't they attack the Sword Cultivator Station? Are they afraid of death? Are they afraid of meeting the hundreds of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of cultivators who died in the past 10 years? Is it because they would only take action when it comes to the matters of the Xuanyan school? Is it because the instructions of my Yanqi Prefecture's conference hall are just a blank piece of paper in front of them? Gao Wei's face was red. He really could not refute. Every word of Tu Hong suppressed the words that he wanted to refute. He simply could not open his mouth. Haha, fellow Taoist too, you can't say that. Imperial Thunder Sect's Chen Mo saw the look in Shanghua Sect's Lu Xinwu's eyes and said with a smile, "These are all our conjectures. Since Gao Chengyuan and the others have already died, the cause of the matter cannot be confirmed. The dead are more important, or..." That's right, Seven Skills Sect's Wang Yi also took the opportunity to say, "The death of 10 golden core cultivators is a big matter. Besides the time when fellow Taoist 2 killed the 20 illusory swordsmen 5 years ago, this is another big conflict. This is a blow to the morale of our Tao sect cultivators. In this old man's opinion, it's better to turn this big matter into a small one and nothing at all. It's precisely because the death of 10 golden core cultivators at once is a great blow to the morale of our Tao sect cultivators that this too is angry." Tu Hong coldly snorted. Fellow Taoists have also seen this two's layout that day. After attacking the Sword Cultivator Station, our Tao sect still had many backup plans. Not only could we lure the Sword Cultivators to take the bait, we could also set up an ambush to kill Qin Jian. Now, our bait has been eaten by someone else. Everything else has been in vain. Fellow Taoist Li, you should hurry up and send out an urgent order from the meeting hall. Who knows, our backup plans that day might have already become the Sword Cultivators' fat meat and are being devoured by them. That's right. Li Chengxiu was suddenly shocked. He immediately stopped watching the show and hurriedly sent out the order. After Li Chengxiu sent out the order, Tu Hong then said, "When it comes to my contributions back then, I feel ashamed. For the past few years I have always felt guilty. Every day and night, I think of the Sky Patrol City's disciples who died in the spiritual stone mine of Mount Quanjin and the Tao sect cultivators who came to support us. I feel like I'm sitting on pins and needles. All the credit belongs to them. The killing of the 20 illusory swordsmen was also exchanged with their deaths. For the past few years, our Tao sect cultivators have relied on the power that day to kill the sword cultivators to the point where they were terrified. In addition, with the help of the various fellow Taoists and the many golden core cultivators sent by their respective sects, the Sword Tao War might end very soon and there might not even be a need for the nascent soul masters to take the lead. But from today onwards, the hard work of the past few years has passed. From today onwards, it has become a bubble." Tu Hong, what do you mean by that? Gao Wei could no longer sit still. He stood up and said angrily, "My Xuanyan school has lost more than 10 golden core cultivators. Let's not talk about the Sword Tao War that they killed, let's not talk about their contributions in the Sword Tao War. Let's just say that they have already fallen. You can't blame them for this kind of dirty water that hinders the war and even affects the outcome of the war. According to what you said, my Xuanyan school has become the biggest culprit of this war. My Xuanyan school has to be responsible for the victory or defeat of the Sword Tao War?" Fellow Taoist Gao. Fellow Taoist Gao. Seeing Gao Wei explode, Li Chengxiu hurriedly stood up and said with a smile, "Fellow Taoist, don't be too serious. In the conference hall, everyone can speak freely, but the people who make decisions take turns. If any of the fellow Taoists have any objections, you can naturally raise them. Besides, aren't there still the sects of the various fellow Taoists?" Fellow Taoist too has thought far ahead and voiced his opinion. This is also his duty. If fellow Taoist Gao has something to say, you can also say it. Why do you have to fight over personal feelings? Chapter 24:37. Humph, Gao Wei flicked his sleeves and said coldly. My Xuanyan school's dozens of Golden Core disciples fell on the battlefield. Not to mention this contribution, we must have a reputation. We must also receive a commendation from the conference hall. Hee, Tu Hong sneered. Unable to distinguish between right and wrong, unable to distinguish between public and private matters. How can such a Dao be the Dao of war? If you continue to mess around like this, my Dao sect's defeat will not be far away. Tu Hong, don't think that you are the only one who has been a general. Don't think that you are the only one who has killed a illusory swordsman. Gao Wei was so angry that his face turned red. He jumped up and shouted, if you were not so hard-hearted to use the lives of tens of thousands of disciples as bait, if you were not relying on the battle at Golden Fountain Mountain, how could you have killed 20 illusory swordsmen? Yes, this old man is hard-hearted. Tu Hong said indifferently, a general's success is built on tens of thousands of bones. Fellow Taoist Gao, have you not heard of this? If it was fellow Taoist Gao, would you dare? It is not that this old man does not dare. It is that this old man disdains. Gao Wei looked coldly at Tu Hong. This old man is not so cold as to treat the lives of tens of thousands of disciples as dust. So, this old man is a general. But you are not. Tu Hong said word by word. You can only build a cart behind closed doors. Enough. Li Chengxiu waved his hand and said, this place only talks about war, do not bicker like a gossipy woman. If you continue to speak nonsense, this old man will take away the rotation right. Humph. Gao Wei snorted and sat down. Tu Hong sneered. That day in the assembly hall, Gao Chengyuan did his best to oppose Tu Hong's assignment. If not for Tu Hong's insistence on using the assembly hall's rotating duty, Gao Chengyuan might not have gone. According to Tu Hong's expectations, this should have been a great merit. However, being doubted by Gao Chengyuan made such a big mistake. How could he not take advantage of it? What a bunch of pigs. Tu Hong was still cursing in his heart as he sat down. Although he had been doing well in the conference hall for the past few years and had made many contributions, the drawbacks were obvious. Many of the Dao sect cultivators were hostile towards him and had begun to restrain him. This made him feel like he was stretched thin. Now he finally knew. Jin Kang, Fong Lengbai, and the others would rather stay in the city lord's mansion than come to the conference hall. It wasn't that they didn't know how to deploy troops, but that they didn't know how to deal with people. So difficult. Tu Hong sighed. However, when he saw Chen Mo from the Imperial Thunder Sect looking at him casually, he nodded his head slightly. His heart was filled with joy. After all, it was only a few days until his dual cultivation ceremony. It was also the beginning of his wish being fulfilled. Actually, even though everyone's words are intense, they are all for the sake of the Dao sect. Li Chengxiu smiled and said, now that this has happened, how should we deal with it? At this moment, there was a slight fluctuation in the air again. Li Chengxiu frowned and ignored it. He continued, just as fellow cultivator Tu Hong said, the impact of this matter is extremely bad. For the Dao sect cultivators, Li Chengxiu spoke for a long time. When he saw the fluctuation in the air disappear and reappear again, he couldn't help but feel a little angry. He clapped his hands and said coldly, which disciple are you? What do you have to report? We are discussing important matters. You can talk later. 3 people appeared in the light. They were Li Zongbao, Xiao Hua, and Xiao Mao. Hearing this, Li Zongbao waved his hand and the conference hall token flew out. At the same time, Li Zongbao's voice was heard. Li Zongbao from the Utopia faction has something important to report. Oh, so it's Junior Zongbao. Li Chengxiu smiled slightly. However, when he saw the other person in the light, he couldn't help but be shocked. He almost cried out, Xiao Hua. This guy is still alive? Then, Li Chengxiu raised his head and looked at Chen Mo and Tu Hong. Unfortunately, Chen Mo and Tu Hong frowned slightly at the same time. They looked at each other calmly and didn't seem to have any abnormalities. These two. What tricks are they playing? Li Chengxiu muttered in his heart. Didn't Xiao Hua die in Mount Quanjin? He suddenly appeared, but these two didn't react. Could it be that they already knew? But why did they hide it from me? Seeing Li Chengxiu looking at him, Chen Mo was slightly stunned and confused. However, his heart also thumped. However, he still maintained a kind smile on his face and even nodded slightly. This nod made Li Chengxiu even more puzzled. He didn't know that when the news of Cui Hongshan and the other's survival from the spiritual stone mine in Mount Quanjin was passed to the assembly hall by the disciples of the Utopia faction, he was outside the Sky Patrol City to greet a sect master. He wasn't even in the assembly hall. After that, the Golden Core cultivators were very surprised that Cui Hongshan and the rest were still alive after 5 years. They couldn't think of any reason. Tu Hong's expression changed even more. No one knew better than him about the death of Mount Quanjin. It was a death trap that no cultivator below the original infant stage could survive. How could Cui Hongshan come back alive? Even the entire Imperial Thunder Sect's first small team came back alive. A Foundation Establishment initial stage disciple was even recruited by Li Zongbao of the Utopia faction. This was simply a miracle. Yes, even when Cui Hongshan and the others were brought to the meeting hall under the protection of the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples and were interrogated by dozens of Gold Core stage masters, their explanations were clear and logical. In the end, even Tu Hong himself had to admit that Cui Hongshan and the others were indeed lucky. Only under such coincidental circumstances could the cultivators in the formation survive. Furthermore, the growth of Cui Hongshan and the rest's cultivation indirectly proved that they weren't lying. It was only under such a desperate situation where there was a restrictive spell to resist the spiritual howl and abundant spiritual chi from heaven and earth could be injected into the restrictive spell and forced into their bodies that their cultivation could advance by leaps and bounds within 5 years. 2 Chi refining stage disciples entered the Foundation Establishment stage and 4 Foundation Establishment initial stage disciples entered the peak of the Foundation Establishment initial stage. Sigh, other than being amazed, the crowd didn't have any other thoughts. Furthermore, on this Dawn Rain continent, there weren't just 1 or 2 cultivators who had miraculous encounters. These Golden Core cultivators had all seen cultivators who were much weirder than Cui Hongshan and the rest, so they weren't anything special. The crowd could only sigh at the good fortune of these 6 people. Tens of thousands of cultivators and swordsmen had died, but they were still alive. As for the rewards, they had already received them 5 years ago. The return of these 6 people was just to receive the rewards in person, with a little more encouragement and a little more reward. Immediately, the 6 people were directly escorted back to the encampment by the Imperial Thunder Sect disciples. This matter was only discussed for half a day before it was drowned out by other battles. After all, this was something that happened 5 years ago. Chen Mo of the Imperial Thunder Sect didn't seem to want to talk too much about it. Who would want to add glory to others? Therefore, when Li Chengxiu returned a few days later, no one mentioned it to him. Chapter 2438. Unlike Li Chengxiu, Heng Zhao of the Utopia faction had already received reports from Zhang Xian and knew that Xiao Hua's cultivation was extraordinary. When he saw Xiao Hua return with Li Zongbao, he smiled and said, "Haha, so it's Zongbao." Heng Zhao was Li Zongbao's master. Seeing that his beloved disciple had returned and said that he had something important to report, Heng Zhao was overjoyed. The Xuanyan school of the Kingdom of Shi had suffered such a great loss. If the Utopia faction had any contributions, wouldn't the Xuanyan school be overshadowed? The Meng Kingdom was also glorious. This seemed to be what Li Chengxiu was thinking when he first saw Li Zongbao. Li Chengxiu let the 3 people into the assembly hall. Li Zongbao, who was familiar with the place, first saluted Li Chengxiu, then the various core formation masters. As for Xiao Hua and Xiao Mao, this was the first time. Xiao Mao was also familiar with the place, so he naturally and respectfully saluted. Although Xiao Hua saluted respectfully, with a sweep of his gaze, he took in the entire situation in the assembly hall. Xiao Hua's behavior was somewhat inappropriate. After all, the people in front of him were Golden Core stage masters, and he was only in the Foundation Establishment stage. Now that he was close to the peak of the Foundation Establishment stage, how could he rashly observe the situation in the conference hall? Li Chengxiu sneered at first. After the 3 of them finished their greetings, Li Zongbao and Xiao Mao lowered their heads and waited for Li Chengxiu and the rest to speak. When Xiao Hua saw that Li Zongbao had lowered his head, he could only lower his head. "Martial nephew Zongbao, I heard that you went to the Gale snowfield to kill Qin Jian. Did you find anything?" Li Chengxiu stopped sneering and asked calmly. Hearing Li Chengxiu's words, Li Zongbao raised his head and looked at the crowd. he replied respectfully. Marshal Uncle Li and the rest of you, please know that I was too ambitious. This time, not only did I not find Qin Jian, but I also fell into the trap of the sword cultivators. Oh, how is that? Tell me the details. Li Chengxiu was slightly stunned. After all, there was a lot of news about the ambush of Qin Jian. How could the Xuanyan school's disciple, Pang Chongtian, suddenly leave the Spirit Stone mine without warning? The conference hall was indeed a little closed about this. However, at this moment, another fluctuation appeared in the space, and the image of a Sky Patrol City's disciple appeared. He said respectfully, my Sky Patrol City's disciple killed several sword cultivator disciples at the border of the Huan Kingdom and obtained a jade slip from their storage bags. It was sent back to Sky Patrol City by a Xuanyan school's disciple on the Gale snowfield. Please make a decision. Bring it up. Tu Hong wasn't polite at all. With a wave of his hand, the jade slip fell into his hand. He immersed his divine sense into it for a moment, and his face was filled with astonishment. His eyes flickered as he glanced at Xiao Hua, Li Zongbao, and the others before handing the jade slip to Gao Wei. Gao Wei looked a little and said with a nod, "And this matter is true." On the way back from the Gale snowfield, these disciples were ambushed by sword cultivators several times and almost half of them died. This jade slip must have been taken away by the sword cultivators. Seeing that everyone was looking at him strangely, Gao Wei handed the jade slip to Li Chengxiu and explained, this news was released and received by this old man yesterday. After my Xuanyan school's Spirit Stone mine was taken away by sword cultivators, hundreds of disciples were captured by sword cultivators. However, just yesterday, those hundreds of disciples returned safely. According to them, they were rescued by a Yulei school's disciple named Xiao Hua. This matter is very strange. This old man hasn't interrogated them in detail, so I didn't report it to the conference hall. Moreover, today, we obtained the Spirit Stone mine and lost more than 10 gold core cultivators. This old man doesn't know what to say. Haha, Qianemo laughed. Fellow Taoist Gao, these are hundreds of Xuanyan school's disciples. My Yulei school's disciple painstakingly rescued these disciples. Such a great merit was actually erased by your strange and inexplicable words? Gao Wei knew that he was a little inappropriate and smiled apologetically. This old man doesn't mean to erase the merit of your school's disciples. If this old man had such thoughts, the disciples of my humble school would be the first to disagree. It's just that this old man doesn't understand. How could a foundation establishment disciple force sword cultivators to release hundreds of disciples? Therefore, this old man wants to wait until tonight to discuss with fellow Taoist Qian and see where this disciple named Xiao Hua is. I'll find him and ask him before making a decision. Hee. Far away on the horizon but close in front of you. Isn't Xiao Hua standing right in front of you? Hang Zhao said with a smile. Ah? Gao Wei was stunned and immediately looked towards Xiao Hua. Just now, when Li Zongbao greeted them, he didn't mention his name. That was because all the gold core masters recognized him. Li Chengxiu and the others directly called him by his name. Xiao Mao and Xiao Hua also followed Li Zongbao and didn't mention their own names. It was no wonder that Gao Wei didn't know. You're Xiao Hua? Gao Wei's face was full of joy. The lives of hundreds of Xuanyan school's disciples wasn't a small matter. Yes, this junior is Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua knew that this matter couldn't be avoided, so he respectfully replied, this junior just happened to have an invisibility talisman that day. I originally wanted to save this brother of mine, but I didn't expect to see so many Xuanyan school's disciples. This junior has always been bold, so I took the risk and directly entered the immortal cave of the sword cultivator. Who knew that the illusory swordsman named Guan Peng was seriously injured, and there were no other sword cultivators nearby. Thus, this junior risked my life to restrain that guy. At that time, this junior thought that there were hundreds of Xuanyan school's disciples, all elites of my country of Xi. They were all this Xiao's senior and junior brothers. Even if this Xiao didn't want to live anymore, he would still use the illusory swordsman as a pledge. Who knew that the illusory swordsman was really useless? When this junior was injured, he also fell to the ground. This junior took the opportunity to capture him. Furthermore, using his life as a reason, I forced him to release hundreds of Xuanyan school's disciples. Actually, this junior also didn't expect that things would go so smoothly. Really, this junior just wanted to give it a try. If he didn't agree, this junior would have directly killed him. In any case, this junior would have helped my Tao sect vent its anger. But who knew that he actually ordered his disciples to release hundreds of my Xuanyan school's disciples, and even let them out of the spirit stone vein? To tell the truth, until today, this junior still doesn't understand why. Could it be that this junior's sincerity infected him? Made him realize his own mistakes? Made him repent and repent? Xiao Hua's words were somewhat incoherent, and he was even somewhat immensely proud of himself. And that's right. Gao Wei beamed. No matter what, you saved the lives of hundreds of my Xuanyan school's disciples. This merit will definitely be recorded in the assembly hall, and my Xuanyan school's disciples will also remember it in their hearts. The assembly hall will bestow a reward, and my Xuanyan school will also express our gratitude. Many thanks, Senior. Xiao Hua smiled and bowed. Wait. Li Chengxiu shouted. Xiao Hua, this matter is indeed fishy. How could you rely on the invisibility talisman to enter Xuanyan school's spirit stone vein? How could you casually subdue the illusory swordsman? Even if he was seriously injured, it's definitely not something that an early foundation establishment disciple like you could do. Tell me honestly, what are you hiding? Damn it, this young master knew it. This bastard definitely wants to make things difficult for this young master. Xiao Hua cursed in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. For an early foundation establishment cultivator, this matter was truly somewhat difficult, but Xiao Hua didn't have the strength of an early foundation establishment cultivator. Martial Uncle Qian. Xiao Hua's face was full of innocence, and he looked very pitifully at Li Chengxiu, saying, this disciple did that at that time, really? If you want to talk about hiding something, when this disciple entered the spirit stone vein, I really didn't think much about it. I didn't want to save those Xuanyan school's disciples. I only wanted to see if Xiao Mao was there. As for whether I could save him, this disciple really didn't have confidence. N. Qian Mo nodded, looking at Li Chengxiu with some dissatisfaction, but he didn't say much. Humph, even this old man wouldn't dare to casually enter the spirit stone vein. You're really bold. How can this old man believe this? Li Chengxiu was somewhat overbearing. Moreover, the spirit stone vein is a dragon's pool and tiger's den. So many golden core cultivators died. This old man had no choice but to be a little more cautious. If you want to talk about hiding something. This junior also doesn't dare to hide it. Xiao Hua laughed embarrassedly, his face was somewhat red, and everyone's ears perked up. He smiled apologetically and said, Martial Uncle Qian, you see, this junior really did say what he did, and really didn't dare to hide anything. Moreover, this junior was prepared to report this matter after senior brother Li reported it, and didn't dare to hide anything. Chapter 2439. Do you have some shady dealings with sword cultivators? Do you want to come to my conference hall to get some credit? Then tell sword cultivators the secrets of my conference hall? Li Chengxiu tempted. You only need to tell us and we can let bygones be bygones. Ha ha ha, Tu Hong laughed. He originally did not want to respond, but seeing Li Chengxiu being so ignorant and misrepresenting a deer as a horse, he could not help but point at him. Fellow Taoist Li, you really know how to joke. Even if sword cultivators want to find someone to collude with, they don't need to find an early foundation establishment disciple. What late foundation establishment disciple? What golden core disciple? Which one doesn't know more secrets than an early foundation establishment disciple? Do I need others to tell me what to do? Li Chengxiu said coldly. Tu Hong smiled bitterly. Fellow Taoist Li, you should also think about it. How could an early foundation establishment disciple do so many things? If not for that illusory swordsman's intentional actions, would he really be able to save hundreds of disciples? Yes, that's what I thought, that's why. Fellow Taoist too means. Li Chengxiu suddenly understood. At this time, the majority of the golden core cultivators also came to a realization. Only a few people were still somewhat baffled. When did sword cultivators learn to be so cunning? Gao Wei sighed. They had Xiao Hua rescue my Xuanyan school's disciples because they wanted to let my Xuanyan school's disciples know that the strength of sword cultivators in the spirit stone mine is weak, and Gao Chengyuan and the others have really fallen into their trap. Even if Xiao Hua did not go, they would still think of a way to let these disciples escape. That's right. Xiao Hua also shouted. I was wondering how it was so easy to save them. It turns out, this junior was bait. Haha, Gao Wei bitterly smiled. Martial niece Xiao, don't think too much. Your contribution is obvious. You being able to enter the Spirit Stone Mine alone is enough to show your courage and insight, as well as your intention to save my Xuanyan School's disciples. This kind of intention and courage is exactly what my Dao sect's disciples need. Just based on this, the conference hall's reward is necessary. Otherwise, this old man will definitely not agree. Hearing this, Li Chengxiu also smiled bitterly and nodded slightly as an agreement. He then looked at Li Zongbao and asked, Martial nephew Li, tell us about the ambush. All right. Li Zongbao roughly explained what had happened, including Xiao Hua's contribution. However, just as Xiao Hua had requested, it wasn't too dazzling. Well, anyway, the ambush here was a mistake. We fell into a sword cultivator's trap, and in order to save Xiao Mao, junior brother Xiao went to the Spirit Stone Mine in the Gale Snowfield. Li Zongbao said calmly. However, Li Chengxiu felt somewhat unnatural in his heart. He did not expect that not only did Xiao Hua not die at Mount Quanjin, he had even obtained so much merit. He could not help but feel slightly annoyed. Hearing Li Zongbao mention Xiao Hua again, he waved his hand and said indifferently, I have already heard about the following matters. Is this the important matter that Martial nephew wants to talk about? These are not important matters. Li Zongbao replied calmly. Junior brother Xiao has something extremely important to report to the conference hall. Oh. Li Chengxiu raised his eyebrows and nodded. Martial nephew Xiao, please speak. Yes, Xiao Hua respectfully bowed and said. That day, Junior did not see any traces of Xiao Mao in the Spirit Stone Mine of Xuanyan School. I only heard that he was captured by the sword cultivators of the illusory sword sect, so I left the Spirit Stone Mine. Just as I was about to search for senior brother Li Zongbao, I met a Dao sect disciple who was about to die at the foot of the mountain. That disciple did not say which sect he was from. Junior wanted to save him, but the sword wound he received was deep in his heart and could not be healed with medicine. However, before he died, he told Junior that he saw 2 Jindan swordsmen bringing a few cultivators and flying towards the Yinyang Twin Spring Mountain. Stop, Li Chengxiu waved his hand and said. Xiao Hua, what did that cultivator look like? Was there a token in his storage bag? Where is his corpse? How can you prove that you have seen this cultivator? This. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. Junior did not think that much. That cultivator did not seem to have a storage bag on him. Moreover, his last wish was for Junior to bury his corpse so that it would not be eaten by wild beasts. As for his appearance, after Xiao Hua casually said a few words, Li Chengxiu shook his head slightly. Xiao Hua, this old man feels more and more that you are lying. Xiao Hua was surprised, but he did not say anything to Li Chengxiu. He raised his head again and said to Qian Mo, Martial Uncle Qian, what Junior said is the truth. Junior does not know why Martial Uncle Li feels that Junior is lying. Actually, Junior wanted to report this matter to you alone. After all, this matter involves the cause of death of several seniors from Converging Thunder Palace. Even though Qian Mo wasn't seated at a high spot, his position was similar to Li Chengxiu's. Xiao Hua wasn't speaking to Li Chengxiu, but to Qian Mo instead. Qian Mo was a little absent-minded. When he heard Xiao Hua mention the Imperial Thunder Sect, he couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. What? Converging Thunder Palace's golden core cultivators? Qian Mo did not dare to not answer. He turned his head and said to Li Chengxiu, Fellow Taoist Li, not only do you feel that this is inappropriate, even this old man feels that it is inappropriate. Fellow Taoist did not let Xiao Hua explain the whole story clearly, but instead pursued the details. What is the meaning of this? My Imperial Thunder Sect will express serious negotiations and strong dissatisfaction to the conference hall. Alas, Li Chengxiu sighed and said earnestly, everyone feels that this old man is making things difficult for Xiao Hua. However, how can you not understand this old man's painstaking efforts? Xiao Hua is still young and only wants to perform meritorious deeds on the battlefield. However, sometimes, good intentions can lead to bad things. Wasn't this the case with the Xuanyan School's Spirit Stone Mine? Although he felt that rescuing the Xuanyan School's disciples was a great merit, he fell into the sword cultivator scheme instead. Tell me, if this old man did not ask in detail, Would we have found out? All of a sudden, Li Chengxiu took Tu Hong's perception into his own interrogation. It seemed that his interrogation had made him realize that something was wrong. And Qian Mo's eyes turned slightly and looked at Tu Hong. He had a non-committal appearance, as if the serious negotiations and strong dissatisfaction from a moment ago had already gone with the wind. Of course, since this matter involves the Imperial Thunder Sect's golden core cultivators, this old man will temporarily put this matter aside. When the important matter is finished, this old man will interrogate you again. Li Chengxiu said with a smile. He then turned to Xiao Hua and said, Martial nephew Xiao, you and I are old acquaintances. This old man's interrogation is also good for you. You must have heard what I said just now. This old man definitely has no intention of making things difficult for you. Besides, why would this old man make things difficult for you? There is simply no reason for this. As he said this, Li Chengxiu's gaze faintly swept over the ardent fire mountains Huaping, who did not interrupt at all. However, he saw that Huaping only had a curious expression, listening to the story with her ears perked up. Damn it, this guy's skin is really thick. Xiao Hua thought helplessly. However, he still respectfully said, this junior naturally understands the heart of senior's fists. This junior is ignorant and inexperienced, and his knowledge is shallow. I still have to ask senior to correct me. The wording of Xiao Hua's words was wrong, and the way he used it was also inappropriate. Clearly, Xiao Hua was expressing his helplessness. Li Chengxiu did not care about this. He smiled amiably and said, it's good that you understand. Continue speaking. Xiao Hua thought that he would encounter Li Chengxiu's censure when he reported in the discussion hall. He also thought about how to deal with it. However, he did not expect that today was Li Chengxiu's turn to be on duty. At this time, he could only brace himself and speak of the previously well-worded plot. As usual, he pretended to be confused. When Xiao Hua spoke of how he had occasionally encountered a spirit stone vein that had already been abandoned by sword cultivators, Li Chengxiu smiled almost mockingly and said, Martial nephew Xiao, your luck. This old man has no choice but to admire it. You can encounter spirit stone veins wherever you go. However, Xiao Hua did not seem to care about Li Chengxiu's mockery. He said very sincerely, yes, Martial Uncle Li is right. This disciple is also not clear about it. Moreover, these spirit stone veins were all abandoned. This disciple did not obtain any benefits at all. Instead, this disciple almost lost his life. Don't say anything else. Hurry up and speak clearly. Qian Mo said impatiently. Yes, this disciple met Martial Uncle Dui of Dui Lei Palace, Dui Miaoqing. Xiao Hua said unhurriedly. However, at that time, she was already on the verge of death. See, what did this old man say? Another person on the verge of death. This clearly shows that the dead tell no tales. Li Chengxiu shook his head again. However, Xiao Hua stopped, as if waiting for Li Chengxiu's instructions. Hurry up and speak. Qian Mo urged again. What did Martial Sister Dui discover? Martial Uncle Dui's consciousness was already muddled. Xiao Hua said with a melancholy face. She did not recognize this disciple. She could not even see this disciple's Taoist robe clearly. Naturally, she could not give me any instructions. Coincidentally, this disciple suddenly thought of the dozen or so Imperial Thunder Sect disciples that had been killed by sword cultivators on the way to the Gale snowfield. Oh? You met my Imperial Thunder Sect disciples before entering the Gale snowfield? Qian Mo was shocked. Why didn't you say so earlier? Li Zongbao looked at Qian Mo and did not reply. In his mind, killing the beast cultivators was Xiao Hua's great merit. He did not want to snatch the credit, so he left Xiao Hua to report. However, at this moment, the atmosphere in the conference hall was somewhat strange. It was not my Imperial Thunder Sect disciples. It was the beast cultivators that killed my Imperial Thunder Sect disciples. Xiao Hua's heart thumped. He felt that something was wrong, but at this moment, he had no choice but to say it. Strange. Sure enough, Li Chengxiu smiled brightly. Since those beast cultivators could kill the dozen or so Imperial Thunder Sect disciples, those dozen or so Imperial Thunder Sect disciples couldn't all be chi refining disciples, right? The three of you. How could you be a match for those beast cultivators? That's right. Qian Mo did not know whether he was confused or wanted to clarify the details, but he actually asked again. AI, this disciple is also ashamed. Xiao Hua was embarrassed. He pointed at Li Zongbao and said, those beast cultivators were mostly killed by martial brother Li. This disciple only delayed 2 beast cultivators. Chapter 2440. Oh! Li Zongbao only glanced at Xiao Hua, his expression unchanged. Nephew Zongbao? What's going on? You have to tell this old man everything that happened in detail. What did those beast cultivators look like? What were their cultivations? How did you kill them? Otherwise, Nephew Xiao will blame me for being biased. Li Chengshu said with a smile. Everyone's gazes unconsciously landed on Li Zongbao. That's right, a beast cultivator who could kill more than 10 Foundation establishment disciples was actually killed by Li Zongbao. His cultivation was comparable to more than 10 Foundation establishment disciples. Was Li Zongbao that powerful? Unexpectedly, Li Zongbao didn't even raise his eyebrows and only said proudly, Martial Uncle Li, I met those several beast cultivators that day and killed them in a spurt of energy. It's so tense on the battlefield, who would remember those details? Besides, although I am a Foundation establishment disciple, I am not at a disadvantage when facing the illusory swordsman. Is it worth making a fuss about killing a few beasts? Is it worth it for me to report them one by one? Of course, the Utopia faction's Heng Feng also said firmly, I am not boasting, nor am I praising my own disciple. Li Zongbao, a disciple of the Utopia faction, is known as the #1 cultivator below the Golden Core stage. Killing those beasts is really nothing. There is nothing to boast about. Xiao Hua was slightly stunned. He didn't expect the Utopia faction to be so overbearing and Li Zongbao's reputation to be so resounding. He looked at the Golden Core stage masters around him. They all had smiles on their faces. As for the content behind their smiles, Xiao Hua was too lazy to understand. Li Chengshu was slightly embarrassed. Although Li Zongbao was respectful, he didn't intend to speak. He could only laugh at himself and say, Yes, I am too nervous. Nephew Zongbao is the #1 cultivator below the Golden Core stage, and the Holy Whip is the most precious treasure of the Utopia faction. Killing a few beast cultivators is really nothing. Oh, Xiao Hua, please continue. Xiao Hua's eyes narrowed, and a trace of contempt flashed through his eyes. His tone was also filled with grief. This grief was indeed real. He felt that Dui Miaoqing's death was somewhat unjust, somewhat unworthy. What Xiao Hua said was naturally the plot of what happened after the sword formation was broken. He didn't mention a single word about all of his divine ferocity. Even regarding the innate jellyfish, he only said that it was a rock pillar. He didn't know what was inside at all. His cultivation base wasn't enough, so he didn't dare to go inside. Everything was pushed to Dui Miaoqing and Dui Hui's jade slips. In the end, he hesitated for a moment and said, Junior took the corpses of the 2 martial uncles and was about to leave when I saw a green sword light fly out from the rock pillar. It rushed into the rock wall and disappeared. I was so scared that I used the invisibility talisman to hide for a long time, but I didn't see any sword cultivators coming out. That's why I hurriedly escaped. A Jindan stage cultivator with long and narrow cheeks revealed a strange expression as he asked, Xiao Hua, you said that your fireball talismans and the like are unable to burn inside? Yes. Xiao Hua faintly felt that something was wrong. He could not talk about the innate true water. Otherwise, these Jindan stage cultivators wouldn't be able to judge. However, he didn't want these Jindan stage cultivators to remember now. It would be best if they slowly remembered after he left. Who knew that these Jindan stage cultivators were so knowledgeable that they really guessed it right away? Sure enough, that cultivator said thoughtfully, From what I saw, there should be innate true water or innate heavy water inside that suppress the fire-type yellow talismans. Yes, Li Chengshu also nodded. If the sword light martial nephew Xiao saw is not bad, it should be a flying sword refined by a sword cultivator. Their flying sword refined using innate true water or innate heavy water. I'm afraid it's used to deal with our Dao sect's nascent soul masters. I'm afraid so. Even Tu Hong nodded. Seeing that our Dao sect's Jindan stage cultivators have already entered the battlefield, it's only a matter of time before our nascent soul masters enter. I'm afraid that the sword cultivators are preparing for a rainy day. This is also the secret of sword cultivators discovered by our two Taoists from Dui Lei Palace. Sigh, it's really hard on them. Qianemo shook his head. That's right, we can't forget the contributions of the two Taoists from Dui Lei Palace. Li Chengxiu nodded and instructed the disciples outside the discussion hall to record this matter. Before he could say anything else, that narrow-faced Jindan stage cultivator spoke again. Regardless of whether it's innate true water or innate heavy water, they are all extremely good things. We should send our disciples over to take a look. Firstly, we can verify Xiaohua's words and see if there are any other clues. Secondly, we can also bring some back. Sword cultivators can use it to refine flying swords, but our Dao sect can also refine magic treasures. That's right, Xiaohua. You are very familiar with that place. Why don't you work harder and bring the Jindan stage masters of the various sects over? Li Chengxiu said with a smile. This. Xiaohua smiled bitterly at Qianemo. He didn't want to make another trip. That's fine too. Unexpectedly, Qianemo nodded and said, I don't have any objections. If possible, quickly pick a few Jindan stage masters and go quickly. After all, if this secret is investigated clearly, it will be beneficial to our Dao sect's operation. All right. Li Chengxiu's face lit up. This old man just wants to see if there are any clues to the sword cultivator's conspiracy. Even if there is something like innate primordial water, this old man won't take it. Nonsense. Xiaohua was disgusted. If there was innate primordial water in his storage bag, needless to say, the Ardent Fire Mountain's Huaping would be the first to find him. The three elders of the Ardent Fire Mountain had been looking for innate primordial water for a long time. And where did this innate primordial water come from? He would be at a disadvantage. And what about the other cultivators who were scheming? Li Chengxiu thought for a while and nodded. Xiaohua, why don't you take it out and let the other elders take a look? Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, Martial Uncle Qian, this is the secret of my Imperial Thunder Sect. This disciple feels that it's better not to let others know. Why don't we wait for Martial Uncle to take a look first, and then make a decision? Unexpectedly, Li Chengxiu immediately put on a righteous face and waved his hand. Although my Imperial Thunder Sect has secrets, these secrets aren't secrets in the middle of a war. I want to make it public. As long as I can contribute to the war, the losses of my Imperial Thunder Sect are nothing. Qianemo is not talented, but I want to be an example to all the other fellow Taoists in this meeting hall, and let the other sects see the demeanor of my Imperial Thunder Sect. Let them see Qianmo's sincerity. Chapter 2441. Sigh, Martial Uncle Qian. Are you sure? Xiaohua bitterly smiled as he took out the storage pouch from his waist. It doesn't matter what I take out, but my Imperial Thunder Sect's face. This has nothing to do with the Imperial Thunder Sect's face. Qianemo was still as righteous as ever. Everything must be done for the sake of the war. What? Martial Nephew Xiao, is there something in your storage pouch that you don't dare to let us see? Li Chengxiu's interest was piqued. Why are you so evasive? Sigh. Xiaohua sighed as he opened the storage pouch. With a clap of his hands, he took out everything from the storage pouch and scattered them all over the meeting hall. The smell of blood immediately filled the entire meeting hall. Ah? The golden core cultivators in the meeting hall were all shocked. What Xiaohua took out was none other than the 20 or so corpses of the Imperial Thunder Sect's male and female disciples. The male disciples were still all right, even though their arms and legs were broken and their heads were missing. However, the female disciples were all naked, revealing their pure white skin. Their private parts were stained with blood and were unbearable to look at. Xiaohua! How could you take out these corpses? Qianemo was instantly enraged. Martial Uncle Qian, you were the one who asked me to take them out. Xiaohua's face was flushed red as he said with grievance. I felt that although these martial uncles and senior sisters didn't contribute much, but their contributions were not negligible. I couldn't just leave their corpses in the wilderness and wanted to bring them back to the Imperial Thunder Sect to bury them. However, I didn't meet any other female disciples along the way and I couldn't organize them, so they were all piled up in my storage pouch. These are what I took along the way. Martial Uncle Li insisted that I take them out, and I also told Martial Uncle. Quickly organize them. Chen Mo said in exasperation. Yes, Xiao Hua looked but still didn't dare to organize them. He looked at Li Chengxiu with eager eyes. Xiao Hua's behavior immediately angered Chen Mo. He roared, Li Chengxiu, my Imperial Thundersex disciple was fighting a bloody battle in the front line and was beheaded. Yet here you are criticizing my junior disciple. This old man is not done with you. This old man represents the Imperial Thundersect to express a serious protest to the conference hall. Alas! Li Chengxiu sighed and waved his hand. Martial nephew Xiao, you quickly put it away. This. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. At this time, it doesn't seem appropriate for Junior to accept them. Would martial uncle please accept them together with disciple? Then, I'll ask which senior martial sister to help me clean up. Let me do it. Blazing Inferno Mountain's Hua Ping did not decline. With a wave of her hand, she collected the corpses of several female cultivators into her storage pouch. Meanwhile, Xiao Hua hastily collected the corpses of the other male cultivators. How could they do anything else in the conference hall? Outside Li Chengxiu's conference hall, a few male and female disciples came in. They collected the corpses and went out to clean them up. Xiao Hua looked at Chen Mo helplessly. Shouldn't these things be done by the Imperial Thundersex disciples? However, looking at Chen Mo's expression, Xiao Hua suddenly understood. Even if it should be done by the Imperial Thundersex disciples, Chen Mo wouldn't let them do it. Because he wanted to avoid arousing suspicion. He wanted to let others know how selfless the Imperial Thundersect was, how open-minded, and how humble they were in passing down their inheritance. The Imperial Thundersect was a sect of etiquette, a great sect of the country of Xi that won people over with virtue. All matters and all interactions must have the demeanor of a great sect. Suddenly, Xiao Hua's heart ached. He thought of Dui Miaoqing before her death. He didn't know if Dui Miaoqing's sacrifice was worth it. At the same time, he was envious. Envious of Li Zongbao's arrogance, envious of Extreme Happiness Sect's Hangming's protection. As for the Imperial Thundersect's Chen Mo, he only had serious concern, serious negotiation, strong dissatisfaction and serious protest. Was it useful? When he looked at Li Chengxiu again, his face was also somewhat gloomy. He hadn't expected Xiao Hua to actually do such a thing. However, while he was shocked, his divine sense also swept through the various items mercilessly. Apart from some medicinal pills, magic tools and so on, there was indeed nothing special. Martial Uncle Qian. Xiao Hua took out several jade slips and a large number of tokens and handed them to Chen Mo. These are the tokens of my senior brothers and sisters. There are also cultivation methods and so on. Disciple has also found everything that he could find. Thank you for your hard work. Chen Mo nodded slightly and reached out to take them. He looked at them and asked, what about Dui Miaoqing and junior sister Dui's things? I'll let Martial Uncle Qian know. Xiao Hua didn't hide it and smiled apologetically. Before Martial Aunt Dui passed away, she entrusted everything to Disciple. She had a water-based physique and couldn't find anything suitable in my Imperial Thundersect. She asked Disciple to find a suitable disciple to teach her. That's not appropriate. Chen Mo shook his head. Although Dui Miaoqing's cultivation method is water-based, it's still a cultivation method of the Imperial Thundersect. Without the sect leader's permission, it can't be taught to outsiders. You should leave it to me. Yes. Xiao Hua didn't hesitate and gave all the cultivation methods and some magic tools to Chen Mo. He had already copied these things and didn't feel the pinch. Chen Mo knew that Xiao Hua didn't have a water-based physique and didn't have any doubts. However, when Chen Mo looked at the magic tools, he still asked, oh? Junior sister Dui doesn't have any magic tools? Xiao Hua said embarrassedly, Disciple doesn't know. Alas, Xiao Hua, this child really didn't have it easy. Seeing this, Heng Zhao of the Utopia faction sighed. If he wasn't kind and didn't have the Imperial Thundersect in his heart, he wouldn't have done these things. Not to mention others, even the disciples of the Utopia faction can't guarantee that they can bring back the corpses of their fellow disciples. That's true. Hua Ping also nodded. Especially Xiao Hua's respect for the corpses. It's far beyond my expectations. If the Blazing Fire Mountain had such a disciple, I would definitely reward him handsomely. Humph. Although he isn't a disciple of the Blazing Fire Mountain, he's more of a disciple than a disciple of the Blazing Fire Mountain. Li Chengxiu sneered. He was humiliated by Xiao Hua just now. However, when he heard Hua Ping's words, he couldn't help but feel a little angry. It was as if he had been bullied by Xiao Hua and Hua Ping during the auction in the Sky Patrol City. He looked at the crowd. Obviously, everyone had a good impression of Xiao Hua. He couldn't think of any way to torture Xiao Hua. However, when he saw Xiao Mao, his eyes lit up and he smiled. Junior nephew Xiao, I won't mention your contribution. The Imperial Thunder Sect will definitely reward you. After the meeting in the conference hall, the reward from the conference hall will also be sent to the Imperial Thunder Sect. Hearing this, Xiao Hua naturally knew that there would be a but after that. He said bitterly, this kind of contribution, I don't want it. Heh heh. Xiao Hua's words were so decisive that Li Chengxiu didn't know how to respond. Good. Hang Zhao clapped his hands and said, ambitious, heroic, courageous. Praise me after we leave the conference hall. Li Chengxiu said angrily. He then asked, Junior nephew Xiao, this old man is still a little curious. Junior nephew Li Zongbao killed the beast cultivator, but you went to find Xiao Mao yourself. How did you save Xiao Mao from the illusory swordsman? Xiao Hua had originally made up a story, but seeing that Li Chengxiu wasn't a kind person, he smiled and said, I'll let Martial Uncle Li know. When this junior flew out of the abandoned spirit stone mine, I happened to encounter Xiao Mao who had just escaped from a great disaster. I heard this guy say that when he woke up, he saw several corpses lying on the ground, and he himself was also controlled by a sword cultivator's restriction. When he struggled to break free, he encountered this junior. Oh, Martial Uncle Li should ask Xiao Mao himself for the specifics. When Xiao Mao heard Xiao Hua's words, he already knew what Xiao Hua was thinking. When Xiao Hua finished speaking, he immediately bowed. Before Li Chengxiu could speak, he bowed and said, Big Brother Xiao is right. When this junior saw Big Brother Xiao, I already explained this matter clearly. This junior was originally confused and didn't know anything. It was only when I saw Big Brother Xiao that I knew that I had escaped. However, I don't know what exactly happened and why I'm the only one left. Of course, this junior also brought back the corpses of my Xuanyan Order disciples. If Senior Brother Li wants to see, this junior will take them out. Wait. Seeing that Xiao Mao was about to take out the storage bag, Li Chengxiu hurriedly waved his hand to stop him. What a joke. He had just offended the Imperial Thunder Sect. If he offended the Xuanyan Order as well, how could he stay in Sky Patrol City? Sure enough, Gao Wei's face was already ashen. Today, the disciples of Xuanyan Order were really plagued with misfortune. Without waiting for Li Chengxiu to say anything, he shouted, You're really good. This old man will remember your contribution. When we return to the station, this old man will definitely reward you. Yes, thank you, Junior Uncle Gao. Xiao Mao bowed and said, However, this junior is now also recruited by Senior Brother Li of the Utopia faction. For the time being, I still have to listen to Senior Brother Li's orders. Please allow me, Junior Uncle Gao. Good. Gao Wei nodded. Li Zongbao is the role model of the younger generation in the Cultivation Three Kingdoms. You can learn a lot from him. Yes, this junior understand, Xiao Mao replied. Seeing that Xiao Hua and Xiao Mao were both evasive and unwilling to tell the details of the matter, the Golden Core cultivators in the conference hall were not fools. Naturally, they knew that there must be something fishy going on. Regardless of whether Xiao Hua had some unknown means, it was the innate primordial water or the spirit stone vein. Xiao Hua, Xiao Mao, and even Li Zongbao would have some benefits. However, the three of them were also people who had meritorious deeds. Li Chengxiu just forced them a little and they were already in a mess. Who would say anything more? At this time, being evasive by the three Foundation establishment disciples, it seemed that they were being fooled and were fools. However, if they really asked and investigated to the end, they would really become fools. That Tai Ching Sex De Sun squinted his eyes and looked at Xiao Hua as if he was thinking about something. Li Chengxiu naturally knew this and wanted to find a way out for himself. He was all smiles as he said, Junior nieces Xiao, you must be related by blood? Otherwise, how could junior niece Xiao Hua be willing to take the risk to go find junior niece Xiao Mao? Your relationship is so deep. This old man is really envious. Chapter 24:42. Don't mention it. Xiao Mao replied gratefully, Junior and Big Brother Xiao aren't related by blood. That day when I met Big Brother Xiao, I was still a child, and Big Brother Xiao. Speaking of this, Xiao Mao suddenly quivered. He originally wanted to express his gratitude to Xiao Hua and praise Xiao Hua's profound cultivation. But he suddenly remembered that Xiao Hua had always been evasive. Wasn't it because he wanted to keep a low profile? If he said too much, wouldn't it be a slip of the tongue? Thus he hurriedly changed his words. At that time, Big Brother Xiao hadn't entered the Imperial Thunder Sect, but he had the bearing of an elder brother. This junior was convinced, so I insisted on becoming Big Brother Xiao's disciple. He, so that's how it is. Seeing that Xiao Mao didn't continue, Li Chengxiu nodded. So there's this layer of relationship. Martial nephew Xiao Hua, before you entered the Imperial Thunder Sect, which family did you belong to? I don't seem to have heard of any famous family with the surname Xiao. Don't you think so, Brother Qian? Yes, before Xiao Hua entered the Imperial Thunder Sect, he was a rogue cultivator. Qian Mo said without hesitation. After entering the Imperial Thunder Sect, his cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. Only a large sect like the Imperial Thunder Sect can nurture such an outstanding disciple. Rogue cultivator? Li Chengxiu was stunned, but then he seemed to have thought of something and looked at Xiao Hua in disbelief. Xiao Hua was also slightly stunned. He didn't know what had triggered Li Chengxiu's thoughts, but his heart immediately became vigilant. But then, Li Chengxiu's attitude calmed down, and he smiled. The Imperial Thunder Sect is indeed a large sect in the country of Xi, this old man agrees. Li Zongbao, martial nephew Xiao, you can return first. The rewards for the meeting hall will be given after we discuss it. Thank you, Martial Uncle Li. Li Zongbao and the rest bowed. Xiao Hua, wait for a moment. Qianemo stood up and said, You are a meritorious member of the Imperial Thunder Sect. This old man will have the Imperial Thunder Sect disciples on duty outside the meeting hall personally escort you back to your encampment. Yes, thank you Martial Uncle Qian for the arrangement. Xiao Hua followed Qian Mo out of the discussion hall. Li Zongbao looked deeply at Xiao Hua and said, Junior Brother Xiao, you should return to the encampment and rest for a period of time. When I receive news of Qin Jian, I will inform you. If there's anything you need, just send me a message talisman. I'll be there at any time. I understand. Xiao Hua nodded slightly. Xiao Mao also bowed and followed Li Zongbao out of the Yanxi manor. After waiting for the two of them to leave for a while, Qian Mo brought two late-stage Foundation Establishment disciples over. He pointed at Xiao Hua and said, This is Xiao Hua from the Myriad Thunder Valley. He is the greatest contributor to our Imperial Thunder Sect. You must properly escort him back to the encampment. Yes, we understand. The two disciples agreed. All right, Martial Uncle Qian. Junior has something that I've always wanted to ask. Xiao Hua said with a smile. I hope Martial Uncle doesn't blame Junior for being rude. Say it, it doesn't matter. Qian Mo nodded. When I participated in the Feather Immortal Assembly, I also met a disciple from the Heavenly Thunder Palace who had the same name as Martial Uncle. When I heard Martial Uncle's name, I thought it was him. I was really shocked. Although he was the top disciple of our Imperial Thunder Sect at that time, he has already condensed his gold core. That's too amazing. Xiao Hua said with a smile. Haha, I understand. Qian Mo said with a smile. I know that child. He is a disciple of our Heavenly Thunder Palace. When he was born, I had already condensed my gold core. His parents are my juniors and we have a good relationship. They have high expectations for their child and wanted to give him a good name. In the end, they actually set their sights on this old man, wanting to use this old man's name to bask in some glory. They said this in front of this old man's senior martial brother, making this old man really embarrassed. But thinking about it, they did it for the sake of their children, so this old man reluctantly agreed. Before this child reached the Foundation Establishment realm, he even came to visit me in my Immortal's cave. I also gave him some pointers. Martial Uncle Qian's noble character and unquestionable integrity are really different from others. Xiao Hua said with emotion, if someone else's child wanted to take away my name, I wouldn't agree even if I was beaten to death. Ha ha ha. Qian Mo said very proudly. This is nothing. As long as you take it lightly, everything will become nothing. Many thanks for Martial Uncle Qian's teachings. Xiao Hua looked at this arrogant gold core cultivator and sneered in his heart. Sanctimonious, hanging a sheep's head to sell dog meat. Perhaps this was the best portrayal of him. After bidding farewell to Qian Mo, Xiao Hua followed the two late-stage Foundation establishment disciples back to the Imperial Thundersect's encampment. Sure enough, as Xiao Hua expected, the two sandwiched Xiao Hua in the middle, not giving him the slightest chance to come in contact with others. They even blocked Xiao Hua in many places, not wanting him to see. What did they not want Xiao Hua to see? What did they not want Xiao Hua to know? Xiao Hua naturally understood very well. When they arrived at the Imperial Lightning Sect's encampment, they checked the token and brought Xiao Hua inside. Only then did the two of them let out a sigh of relief. However, when Xiao Hua walked towards the Imperial Lightning Sect's first team's resting area, he was blocked by the two of them again. It turned out that Qian Mo had already warned them that Xiao Hua was the Imperial Thundersect's greatest contributor so far, so naturally, he had to be arranged separately. As a result, Xiao Hua was arranged to the resting area of the Heavenly Thunder Palace's disciples. Moreover, it was a separate area. The 2 rows of 10 quiet rooms were all empty, and he was the only one living there. Junior brother Xiao, you are our Imperial Thundersect's contributor. I heard from Martial Uncle Qian that you alone saved hundreds of Xuanyan School's disciples. Not only did you greatly increase our Imperial Thundersect's reputation, but you also made sword cultivators look askance. The tall and thin disciple said with a smile, this place will be your resting place in the future. If you have any needs, just look for the disciple on duty at the entrance. He was specially sent by Martial Uncle Qian to listen to junior brother Zhao's orders. As he said that, the disciple handed over a token to Xiao Hua and said, this is a summoning token. Junior brother Xiao, activate the token and the disciple will come in to listen to junior brother Zhao's arrangements. I don't dare. Xiao Hua's face showed surprise as he received the token. Then he tried to ask, where are the disciples of my Imperial Thundersect's first team? Junior brother misses them very much. I wonder how they are doing. As if he already knew that Xiao Hua would ask this question, the disciple smiled and said, they are all very good. Previously, when they returned to the encampment, they received a reward. Originally, we wanted to arrange for them to return to the Imperial Thundersect, but because we don't have enough people, we can't escort them back for the time being. Let's wait a few days. If junior brother Xiao is willing, you can also return to Sky Thunder Peak with them. Oh, it's good that they came back safely. Xiao Hua sighed in relief, stretched and said, junior brother is also very tired. Let's rest first. And that's good. The disciple smiled and said, I heard that the cultivation of the disciples of the Imperial Thundersect's first team increased greatly, and they are all in closed-door meditation. In a few days when they come out, I will send a disciple to inform junior brother Xiao. Okay, thank you, senior brothers. Xiao Hua bowed and thanked them. You're welcome. Seeing that Xiao Hua was very obedient, the 2 foundation building disciples were happy. After bowing in return, they left the restriction. Humph, this token can only let people in, but it can't let me out. Isn't this house arrest? Xiao Hua sneered and immediately activated the token. A thin aura refining disciple timidly opened the restriction and came in. He said respectfully, Martial Uncle Xiao, what's the matter? Oh, it's nothing. I want to have a good rest. If there's nothing, don't let anyone come in and disturb me. Xiao Hua instructed. When the aura refining disciple heard this, he was happy and said with a smile, Junior understands. Martial Uncle, quickly rest. After saying that, he bowed and retreated, activated the token and went out. This kind of restriction. Can it be a problem for me? Xiao Hua sneered and turned around to enter the quiet room. He released his Buddhist sense and looked for a long time. Then, he threw out a few talismans. His figure swayed and disappeared from the stone wall. At this time, Cui Hongshan was sitting in the quiet room. This quiet room was assigned to the first team of the Imperial Thundersect 5 years ago when he set off for the Golden Spring Mountain. This quiet room was also the one he used in those years. Moreover, this quiet room was also given to Cui Hongshan and the others when they returned to the Sky Patrol City. the leader of the Imperial Thunder Sect, Qian Mo, specially drove away the other team that had already occupied this room and gave it to the first team. This treatment was obviously different from the second team of the Imperial Thunder Sect that Cui Hongshan encountered. Although Cui Hongshan was sitting quietly, his heart was surging like it was 10 days ago. He couldn't calm down for a long time. Yes, after being in a coma for 5 years, when he woke up, not only did his cultivation improve greatly, he directly reached the peak of the early stage of the Foundation Establishment Realm and was about to step into the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment Realm. Moreover, he was a great contributor to the Imperial Thunder Sect. The Sky Patrol City's conference hall and the Imperial Thunder Sect leader's token seemed to be the best reward. Could he calm down? In particular, no matter how difficult and dangerous the sword battle was, it had nothing to do with him. He only wanted to return to the Imperial Thunder Sect and the myriad Thunder Valley with the title of a hero. When the time was right, he could hold the dual cultivation ceremony with Dui Qiming, who had returned to the Thunder Conversion Palace, in advance. If it was the dual cultivation ceremony held before, Cui Hongshan would feel that the myriad Thunder Valley was shabby and that he had let Dui Qiming down. But now, the merits of the Imperial Thunder Sect, Dui Qiming and himself, were both contributors to this battle and had the sect leader's token of commendation. Even if the sect leader didn't come personally, the palace masters of the Thunder Conversion Palace and the Shocking Thunder Palace would appear at the dual cultivation ceremony. This was a grand occasion that hadn't appeared in the myriad Thunder Valley for many years. Of course, this was nothing. His cultivation had actually leaped to the edge of the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment Realm. This was the realm that he had planned to reach after decades of hard work. It was just a dream, and everything had come true. The couple had become a family, and the nameless junior had become a contributor to the Shocking Thunder Palace. All his previous efforts had now paid off. Alas, the heavens really reward those who work hard. Cui Hongshan thought of the beauty and couldn't help but laugh. How could he still be in the mood to cultivate? If only Qiming was still in the Sky Patrol City. Cui Hongshan even had such thoughts. What's so funny? A familiar voice sounded coldly in Cui Hongshan's ear. Chapter 2443. Who? Cui Hongshan was shocked. He knew that the restrictions placed on the residents were different from before. In order to protect them, even though Qian Mo didn't take away his token, he couldn't leave the residence when he summoned the disciples on duty. Immediately, Cui Hongshan was surprised. Junior brother Xiao, you're back too? However, when Cui Hongshan opened his eyes and saw Xiao Hua standing alone without any disciple on duty, he was shocked. You? How did you get in? Where's the disciple on duty? Don't ask me how I got in. Xiao Hua said coldly. Why are you laughing when you're not cultivating? Hee, I wanted to cultivate, but when I thought about returning to the 10,000 Thunder Valley and meeting my master and mistress, I couldn't help but laugh. Cui Hongshan naturally wouldn't tell the truth. You didn't think of senior sister Dui? Hee, of course. Cui Hongshan didn't deny it. Qimeng returned to Sky Thunder Peak 5 years ago. I wonder how she is now. Does she know that we didn't die? You're worried that she's dual cultivating with someone else, right? Xiao Hua said coldly. Cui Hongshan was very unhappy that Xiao Hua poured cold water on him. During this period, he would occasionally think about it, but he would immediately deny it. He didn't know whether he was alive or dead. How could Dui Qiming choose to marry someone else? What if senior sister Dui is dual cultivating with someone else? Xiao Hua didn't seem to care about Cui Hongshan's thoughts and asked. Impossible. Cui Hongshan denied. Qimeng is definitely not that kind of person. She wouldn't dual cultivate with someone else when I'm not sure whether I'm alive or dead. What if she is? Xiao Hua said coldly. Xiao Hua, you're just saying nonsense. Is there any meaning to it? Cui Hongshan argued. How long have you been back in Sky Patrol City? Have you seen Dui Qimeng? Qimeng has already returned to Sky Thunder Peak with Ming Mao and Dui Ling. How can I see her? Cui Hongshan already had a bad feeling. Let's talk about you. How did you get in? You've been here since you came back, right? Xiao Hua looked at Cui Hongshan with a pitiful feeling. Yes, Cui Hongshan said proudly. Our Imperial Thunder Sect's first team is the team that has contributed the most so far. It is also the team that has been preserved the best. Naturally, We will be treated differently when we return. Of course they should be protected. That's right, Xiaohua, since you've also returned, we can return to the 10,000 Thunder Valley together. With the merits of this battle, no one in the deafening Thunder Palace will look down on our 10,000 Thunder Valley. Master and Master's wife will definitely be proud of us. Cui Hongshan said in high spirits. Xiaohua originally wanted to mock Cui Hongshan again, but when he heard Cui Hongshan mention helplessness, he could only sigh and say, "Come with me." Cui Hongshan stood up and asked curiously, "Where are you going?" "Wear the camouflage clothing." Xiaohua didn't answer and coldly said, "Why? Where are we going?" Cui Hongshan still didn't understand, but he still took out the maze and waited for Xiaohua's explanation. This Xiao will say it one last time. Are you going to wear it or not? Xiaohua didn't explain at all. All right. Cui Hongshan was helpless and obediently put on the camouflage clothing. Before he could wake up, his vision turned black. When he woke up again, he saw a wide street in front of him. On the street, there were some cultivators hurriedly flying back and forth. Xiaohua. Cui Hongshan was somewhat angry and wanted to berate him. No matter what, he was still a middle-stage foundation establishment cultivator. How could he be treated like a child and played with? If you want to know about Dui Qi Meng's whereabouts, then follow this Cui. Xiaohua coldly said as his figure slowly flew forward. Cui Hongshan carefully identified and knew that this place was near the Imperial Thunder Sect's encampment. He didn't know how Xiaohua brought him out of the quiet room. His heart was extremely disgusted, but when he heard Xiaohua's words, his heart immediately trembled. He didn't dare to say another word and hurriedly followed behind Xiaohua. After walking through a few streets, Xiaohua saw that there were more and more people. He casually pulled a Dao sect cultivator and cupped his hands. "Fellow Daoist, I have something to ask." The Dao sect cultivator's face turned cold and he sneered. Why is fellow Daoist still wearing the maze clothing in Sky Patrol City? Forgive this Jiang for not answering your question. With that, the cultivator flicked his sleeves and left. He left Xiaohua standing there very awkwardly, not knowing what to do. "You, what do you want?" Cui Hongshan asked curiously. "Since we're out and in Sky Patrol City, why wear the maze clothing?" "Shut up." Xiaohua was a little annoyed. "Just stay behind me and watch. And listen." Cui Hongshan was a little embarrassed and angry, but fortunately, he was wearing the maze clothing and the matter was related to Dui Qiming, so he could only endure it. Xiaohua only hesitated for a moment on the street, then turned around and walked toward the tea house where he met Ziyi. What's this? When Xiaohua saw the tea house and was about to enter, he saw a huge milky white silk cloth pasted on the wall of the tea house. On the silk cloth, there was a swordsman in red who was smiling ferociously. "Oh, so that's Qin Jian." Xiaohua glanced at the words below and understood that this was a bounty from Sky Patrol City. The swordsman on the bounty was Qin Jian. However, how could Xiaohua be in the mood to look at this? He glanced around and brought Cui Hongshan into the tea house. At this time, there were actually many people in the tea house, and there were also several people wearing the maze clothing. In this Sky Patrol City, I'm afraid that other than the two of you, there's no one who doesn't know about this, right? Hee, that's exactly what I want to ask. Xiaohua said politely. Although he had gone through the maze, his voice was still pleasing to the ear. All right, I'll let you know. The cultivator laughed. Senior 2's dual cultivation ceremony is 15 days later. I heard that it's personally hosted by the City Lord of Sky Patrol City, Shui Yu Zhenren. And the one who's lucky enough to dual cultivate with Senior 2 is Imperial Thunder Sect's disciple, Dui Qiming. What? Cui Hongshan's hoarse voice came from the maze. He had already expected Xiaohua to go through so much trouble to inquire about it. However, when he heard this heart-wrenching news, he still couldn't help but cry out. Imperial Thunder Sect's disciple? Xiaohua was a little puzzled. How did Senior 2 get married to Imperial Thunder Sect? It's very strange. Haha, what's so strange about it? The Qi Refinement disciple laughed. I heard that Dui Qiming was Imperial Thunder Sect's disciple who went to Mount Quanjin to support Senior 2 Hong. During the battle at the Spirit Stone Mine, she fell in love with Senior 2 at first sight. After returning to Sky Patrol City, Dui Chiming was also a hero in the battle. Senior Tu Hong took the opportunity to ask the city lord to propose marriage to Imperial Thunder Sect. Who is Senior Tu Hong? He's a golden core cultivator. How could Imperial Thunder Sect refuse? I heard that the Imperial Thunder Sect's Lord Sect Master clapped his hands and laughed heartily at that time. However, Senior Tu was injured in the battle and needed to meditate. That's why the dual cultivation ceremony was postponed until today. Oh, so there's such a story. Xiao Hua smiled, but his eyes were looking at Cui Hongshan. He originally thought that Cui Hongshan would do something angry, such as throwing a teacup or something. Who knew that Cui Hongshan actually sat there quietly and listened? Chapter 2444. I wonder what Dui Chiming's cultivation is? Where is she now? Xiao Hua thought for a moment and asked. I heard that Dui Chiming is a foundation establishment cultivator. As for her, needless to say, she is definitely in Senior Tu Hong's residence. The two refinement cultivators replied with a smile. Many thanks, fellow Taoists. Xiao Hua stood up and cupped his hands. You're welcome, you're welcome. The two refinement cultivators also stood up and said with a smile, it's still not too late to prepare a congratulatory gift. Yes, yes, I will definitely prepare a big gift for Senior Tu Hong. Moreover, it will be a big gift that he has never seen before. Xiao Hua said with a smile. His tone was especially sincere. However, after Xiao Hua threw the spirit stones on the table and walked 2 steps, he found that Cui Hongshan was still sitting there quietly and did not get up. Sigh, Xiao Hua sighed. It turns out that this guy is not as calm as I thought. Xiao Hua turned around and pulled Cui Hongshan up from the chair. Let's go, we still have to prepare a big gift for Senior Tu Hong. Xiao Hua said coldly. Cui Hongshan replied. Although they were separated by a fog, one could still hear that kind of weak and spiritless tone. Right, just a few moments ago, he was still looking forward to the future with surging excitement, and he didn't even have the calmness to calm down and cultivate. Yet a few moments later, all his beautiful dreams were shattered, and this drop was truly too great. Cui Hongshan did not know how he returned to the quiet room. In his eyes, it was just that his vision turned black. He even thought that the reality was so cruel that he might as well have been unconscious in the Golden Spring Mountain battle. Cui Hongshan, Xiao Hua looked at the dazed and stiff Cui Hongshan and said coldly, What's wrong? Is your heart uncomfortable? With great difficulty, Cui Hongshan came back to his senses and said coldly, What is there to be uncomfortable about? If you love someone, you have to let her obtain happiness, not to possess her. As long as she is happy, I will be happy to watch from the side. Xiao Hua was stunned. I have already decided. Cui Hongshan said mournfully, Since Chiming has made her choice, I will respect her choice. Moreover, I will silently bless her and hope that she can have her own happiness. As long as she is happy, I will be happy. Are you sick? Xiao Hua was dumbfounded. He looked at Cui Hongshan in disbelief. Although these words sounded very noble, but, no matter how he thought about it, it felt extremely stupid. I'm not sick. Cui Hongshan's expression became excited as he forced a smile and said, Senior Tu Hong is a gold core cultivator and a person with outstanding military achievements. He should be favored by Qi Meng, and with his support, Qi Meng can successfully condense her gold core. Ha ha, Cui Hongshan, that's what you think. I've helped you for nothing. Xiao Hua laughed loudly. If I had known earlier, I would have told you everything. There would have been no need to go through all this trouble. What do you want to say? Cui Hongshan said disdainfully. Nothing is better than seeing Qiming have a good home. You're really stupid. Xiao Hua was overjoyed. He pointed his hand and said, Have you ever thought about why Dui Qiming was suddenly transferred away by Tu Hong before the battle at Mount Quanjin? She returned to Sky Patrol City and naturally avoided a calamity. Think about it again. What happened to Imperial Thunder Sect's first team? Tens of thousands of cultivators died at Mount Quanjin. What about us? We didn't even see the face of the sword cultivator. We were actually arranged by Tu Hong into the Spirit Stone Mine, which is the innermost layer of the Mount Quanjin array. If not for you and me being lucky, how could we have escaped from the spiritual howl in the array? That's a dead end. Think about it again. When you returned from the Mount Quanjin array, Did you hear about Tu Hong's dual cultivation ceremony? Did you see Dui Chiming? If Dui Chiming really abandoned you and heard that you survived, I'm afraid she would come over to explain it to you, right? She wouldn't be so muddle-headed as to make you sad for the rest of your life, right? Actually, even if you thought it through and wished to give Dui Chiming your blessings, I'm afraid you can't even get out of this restriction. You can't even get out of the main gate of Imperial Thunder Sect's encampment. Xiao Hua sneered, unless after 15 days, when Tu Hong and Dui Chiming's dual cultivation ceremony is completed, you and me, and Zhenming Hui and the rest can step out of this restriction. Moreover, if Dui Chiming knew that you survived and she married someone else, what would she think? Would she really be as happy as you said? Don't you think that you're so noble but you pushed Dui Chiming into the fire pit? Can you bear to see your beloved suffer for the rest of her life? Xiao Hua's every word was dripping with blood than a sword cultivator's flying sword. Every word pierced into Cui Hongshan's heart. In front of Xiao Hua, Cui Hongshan forcefully supported himself, supported his face, supported his attitude as a disciple of a cultivation family. But when Xiao Hua spoke of the truth that he didn't know, his face unconsciously paled. It was deathly pale without a trace of blood. Tu Hong's scheme must have been orchestrated by a certain elder of Imperial Thunder Sect. Dui Chiming must have also been deceived in Tu Hong's residence. A pair of infatuated lovers is about to turn into two birds and fly away. In the future, they will cry blood every day and wail in grief every night. This is truly a tragedy of the world. As he spoke, Cui Hongshan's eyes flashed with a trace of unswerving determination. He actually knelt in front of Xiao Hua with a plop and gritted his teeth. Xiao Hua, I know that only you can help me right now. This Cui doesn't ask for anything else but to see Chiming one more time. This Cui really wants to know. What exactly is she thinking? Get up, Xiao Hua angrily said. This daddy hates it the most when others kneel. Yes, Cui Hongshan bit his lips so hard that they were about to bleed. He immediately stood up and said, as long as you bring this Cui to see Chiming, even if you want this Cui's life, this Cui won't even frown. Damn it, why would this daddy want your life? Xiao Hua smacked his lips and laughed. Moreover, why would this daddy bring you to Tu Hong's residence? Tu Hong is a gold core cultivator. This daddy has never thought that he is stronger than a gold core cultivator. Senior brother Xiao. Cui Hongshan's eyes flashed with a trace of warmth. He bowed and said, this little brother has always had a deep prejudice against you. I thought that you were a loose cultivator and weren't worthy to call this little brother. You weren't even worthy to be this little brother's senior brother. Even if you saved this little brother several times, although this little brother was grateful in his heart, this little brother still couldn't put down his face. Now that this little brother has reached this kind of situation, this little brother truly knows that only a true senior brother of the same sect can think for this little brother. From now on, senior brother Xiao is this little brother's senior brother. This little brother doesn't dare to overstep his boundaries anymore. Damn it, now that you need this daddy's help, this is why your mouth is soft. This really doesn't make sense. Xiao Hua's heart bloomed with joy, but his mouth was stubborn. Who said that loose cultivators have no self-respect? Hee, this little brother has long acknowledged senior brother's divine ability. It's just that I haven't found the opportunity. With Zhenming Hui and the others by my side, this little brother is also a little shy. Cui Hongshan forced a smile and said, even if senior brother Xiao doesn't help this little brother today, this little brother will still call you senior brother Xiao in the future. Sigh, Xiao Hua sighed. He actually couldn't figure out Cui Hongshan's thoughts. However, there were only these 3 disciples in the myriad Thunder Valley. His current cultivation was comparable to the peak of the late Gold Core stage. After killing Feng Buping and several illusory swordsmen, and saving hundreds of Foundation establishment cultivators, he had long stopped caring about Cui Hongshan's little thoughts. Perhaps hearing Cui Hongshan's apology with his own ears made him feel comfortable in his heart. Senior brother, if you are too embarrassed, then go and ask Chiming yourself. What exactly is she thinking when you see her? If she is really interested in Tu Hong, then tell her that I have already returned. Moreover, I am also happy for her and wish her well. If she is not willing, then you can tell her that I have already perished in the great array of Mount Quanjin. Ask her not to think too much. Cui Hongshan did not know why he changed his meaning at the end of his sentence. Instead, why did Xiao Hua have to make another trip to Tu Hong's residence? Why did he have to meet Dui Qiming again? Hearing that Cui Hongshan was so considerate of Dui Qiming and the Imperial Thundersect's first team, Xiao Hua nodded to himself. This disciple of an aristocratic family is really something. If it were me, I would have already turned Tu Hong's residence into a mess. Who would have thought so much? This elder brother understands. I will go and see if I can see Dui Qiming now. Xiao Hua nodded. Also, you don't have to think too much. Cultivate first. Tu Hong is only a middle gold core stage cultivator. When you reach the nascent soul stage, what kind of dual cultivation partner can't you find? Hee, I hope senior brother can console me. Cui Hongshan smiled bitterly. It's all this little brother's fault for making things difficult for senior brother. Ha ha ha, since you are a disciple of my myriad Thunder Valley, if I don't help you, who will? Wait here, this elder brother will go and take a look now. Xiao Hua laughed and made a hand seal to leave. Senior brother, you have to be careful. Cui Hongshan said anxiously. Tu Hong is a gold core stage cultivator. There will definitely be many gold core stage cultivators in his residence for his dual cultivation ceremony. Ai, why don't you also not go, senior brother? Hearing Cui Hongshan's words, Xiao Hua was slightly startled. Immediately after, he made a hand seal and disappeared. Ai, Cui Hongshan sighed and sat down dejectedly. His words were like a lotus flower, but how could he cut off his feelings for Dui Qiming? Moreover, he finally understood that Dui Qiming didn't abandon him. She was also kept in the dark. Since the Sentry City and the Imperial Thundersect had joined forces to promote the dual cultivation ceremony, what could he do even if he appeared in front of Dui Qiming? Instead of making things difficult for Xiao Hua and making Dui Qiming sad, it was better for him to go with the flow and hurt himself. Xiao Hua returned to his quiet room. Looking around, he didn't find anything strange. The aura refining disciple on duty was still diligently guarding outside the restriction. A disciple who seemed to be on duty flew over and whispered a few words in the disciple's ear. Soon after, the disciple flew away. If it wasn't for the wine sent by Chen Mo, it would have been Zhen Yun. Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes and sneered. His body slowly shrunk and his face changed. It was the face of Qin Jian that he saw on the wall outside the tea house. Then, in a flash, he covered his tracks and headed out of the Imperial Thundersect's encampment. Chapter 24:45. It was already night time, and the stars were scattered across the night sky. There were not many clouds in the sky, and a half-moon hung in the sky. The night in Sentry City seemed to be colder than the day. Although the cultivators were not afraid of the cold, there were very few people on the streets. Only the bright lights in the tall buildings on the left side illuminated the night view, competing with the stars in the sky. The snowy highlands were also covered in silver light. The moonlight combined with the snow, emitting a faint glow. The entire highlands were like shiny crystals. A few hundred miles away from Sky Patrol City, several sword lights of different colors swayed and stopped at the foot of a mountain. The sword lights gradually dimmed, and the swordsmen on the sword lights revealed themselves. They were illusory swordsmen, and the one in front was Qin Jian, who was dressed in red. Qin Jian scanned the area with his divine thought and said, "Fellow swordsmen, we'll stop here for the time being. We'll listen to your orders." The illusory swordsman replied respectfully. Good. Qin Jian was satisfied when he heard that. He reached out and took out a sword bamboo slip. After looking at it for a while, he frowned and asked a slightly plump swordsman with white hair, "Zhu Jianyu, is this the location of the secret teleportation formation in Sky Patrol City that the Clear Sword Sect disciples found?" "Are you sure?" "Yes, Sword Friend Qin. The Clear Sword Sect disciples found out about this teleportation formation after killing several Path Sect cultivators." The swordsman was Zhu Chengye from the Clear Sword Sect. When he heard Qin Jian's question, he cupped his hands and said, "Although I've never been here before, I believe this information." Qin Jian nodded slightly and said kindly, "It's not that I don't believe it. It's just that this place is only about 300 miles away from Sky Patrol City. If we go any further, we'll enter the range of the Sky Patrol City Governor's divine thought. We have to believe it. It's better to be careful." "Yes, I am aware of that." Zhu Qingye smiled apologetically. "However, even if we're discovered by the Snow Region Sage, We'll be at the edge of his divine thought. Even if we run, we can escape from him. That's why I'm asking sword friend Qin and fellow swordsman for help. Zhu Jianyu. Another middle-aged swordsman couldn't help but ask, your bright sword sex Zhong Haoshuan really died? Zhu Qingye sighed and replied, Sigh, that's right. When junior martial brother Zhong's natal sword token was broken, the sect master immediately sent me and my disciples to the Yin-Yang Twin Springs Mountain to search for him. However, I won't hide it from my fellow sword friends. This Zhu followed the path left behind by junior martial brother Zhong and found 2 places where the Yin-Yang sword spirits could be refined. Those places were a complete mess. There were traces of fighting with cultivators, and there were even traces of the explosion of the Scorching Sun sword. However, there were no corpses of junior martial brother Zhong and the other disciples of the Clear Sword sect. Even the Yin-Yang sword spirit that we don't know if it was successfully refined was nowhere to be found. Needless to say, this is what Dao sect cultivators do. The middle-aged swordsman sneered. They can send a dozen golden core cultivators to attack the spirit stone mine that we just obtained. They can also kill sword friend Zhong who went to the Yin-Yang Twin Springs Mountain to refine his sword spirit. That's right, Zhu Qingye nodded. This Zhu also had the same thoughts. I heard that sword friend Qin set up an ambush at the spirit stone mine and lured Dao sect cultivators into it. You killed 13 golden core cultivators in one fell swoop. That's why I rushed to the spirit stone mine to ask for your assistance. If not for sword friend Qin's generosity at the spirit stone mine, the loss of my clear sword sect's disciples would be a disgrace to my sword domain. That's right, sword friend Qin is indeed far-sighted. This Tian is also impressed. The middle-aged swordsman was Flame Bamboo Sword Sect's Tian Simu. I'm ashamed. Qin Jian's face revealed a trace of pride. However, he immediately smiled and said, Fellow swordsman, you think too highly of me. To be honest, the battle at the Spirit Stone Mine was really a fluke. This Qin just happened to pass by the Gale Snow Plains with Tian Zhenyu and the rest, and coincidentally received Guan Peng's message. This Qin changed our direction at the last minute. When this Qin heard sword friend Guan's words, I felt that the cultivators would make a move. That's why I stayed at the Spirit Stone Mine to take a look. In the end, they really did come. Of course, the cultivators are also cunning. They actually ambushed the Spirit Stone Mine and tried to kill my Clear Sword Sect's disciples. The matter of the Yin-Yang sword spirits is going to be difficult to deal with. That's right, the Yin-Yang sword spirits were ordered by LV Zhenyu. My Clear Sword sect was originally very confident. But now, sigh, I really don't know how to explain this to LV Zhenyu. Zhu Qingye smiled bitterly. Furthermore, this Zhu knows that in order to prevent us from refining the Yin-Yang sword spirits, the cultivators not only took the Yin-Yang sword gourd away, they also destroyed the foundation of the Yin-Yang Twin Springs Mountain. Fellow swordsmen, you may not realize it now, but in another half a year, the Yin-Yang Twin Springs Mountain may no longer exist. Ah? It's that serious? Qin Jian was shocked. Could it be that the Snow Domain Enlightened Master made a move? This Zhu doesn't know either. Zhu Qingye smiled bitterly. However, this is one of my guesses. I feel that the Snow Domain Enlightened Master might not be in Sky Patrol City. That's why I invited all of you here. We took the opportunity to kill our way into Sky Patrol City and destroyed all the teleportation arrays there. We killed some cultivators to vent our anger. Actually, LV Zhenyu's arrangements can't be said to be undeniably strict, but, based on this sword's thinking, it's still not as meticulous as sword friend Qin's arrangements. If sword friend Qin were to command us, I'm afraid we wouldn't be so passive. A woman said lightly. Thank you, sword friend Mu Ting from the Shuoyang sword sect. Qin Jian smiled and cupped his hands. I can be considered a talented general, but I can't be considered a talented commander. LV Zhenyu must be outstanding to be valued by the sword transformation master. Let's not talk about this anymore. Then, Qin Jian turned to Zhu Chengye and asked, Zhu Zhenyu, as far as I know, Feng Buping, the bird cultivator, went to the Gale Snowfield to check on the enemy's whereabouts. He hasn't returned, and we don't know whether he's dead or alive. What about Yu Ming? He went with Zhong Haoshuan to refine the sword spirit with the Taoist sect's cultivators. He's a bird cultivator who's famous for his flying ability. If he's up against the Snow Domain Enlightened Master, he might have a chance to escape, right? Sword friend Qin, I heard from Guanpeng that Yu Ming also went to the Yinyang Twin Spring Mountain. I've already sent my disciples to the Quilted Mountain sect and the Valley of Vines to check on the whereabouts of the two flying feather sword friends. If it's really the Snow Domain Enlightened Master, I'm afraid the two flying feather sword friends are doomed. Mu Ting sighed. Moreover, I feel that Zhu Jianyou's trip to Sky Patrol City this time is a little inappropriate. Haha, sword friend Mu is right. Qin Jian glanced at Zhu Chengye's unhappy face and said with a smile, if it were under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have agreed to it, and I wouldn't have asked my sword friends to take the risk. What do you mean, sword friend Qin? Mu Ting asked curiously. Qin Jian glanced at the night sky and said with a smile, as far as I know, it's Tu Hong's dual cultivation ceremony in Sky Patrol City. It's said that the Snow Domain Enlightened Master is going to host it personally. There are many Golden Core Realm cultivators in Sky Patrol City. Ah! Mu Ting was stunned. Isn't that more troublesome? Even if we can kill Golden Core Realm cultivators, how many can we kill? If we're surrounded by them, won't we be in trouble? Sword friend Mu, don't worry. Qin Jian said confidently. Didn't Zhu Jianyu say it earlier? He suspected that the Snow Domain Enlightened Master went to Yinyang Twin Spring Mountain personally, so he might not be in Sky Patrol City now. Then, he might be setting up a trap to host Tu Hong's dual cultivation ceremony. Think about it. Although Tu Hong killed more than 10 illusory swordsmen in Jinquan Mountain, he also killed tens of thousands of Sky Patrol City disciples and thousands of Path Sect cultivators. This is something that the Path Sect cultivators can't tolerate. In my opinion, Tu Hong's great merit was only rewarded under circumstances where the Snow Domain Enlightened Master was forced to do so. The Path Sect cultivators had no choice but to obey in order to boost their morale. Such a cultivator. How could the Snow Domain Enlightened Master let him host the dual cultivation ceremony? In addition to what Zhu Jianyu said, I'm almost certain that the Snow Domain Enlightened Master is definitely not in Sky Patrol City now. Qin Jian said confidently. Moreover, there are many people coming and going in Sky Patrol City now. This is an opportunity for us sword cultivators to take advantage of. We can kill our way into the teleportation formation at lightning speed and kill all the cultivators inside. Then we can destroy the teleportation formation. Not only can we vent our anger for the Bright Sword Sect, but we can also greatly damage the reputation of Sky Patrol City. Even if Sky Patrol City wants to cover it up, they can't. If they lose face in front of so many cultivators, will there be a rift between Sky Patrol City and Path Sect? Their so-called joy will turn into sorrow. It's just like raising a few birds with one hand. But the Path Sect cultivators must be very strict to prevent us sword cultivators from causing trouble in Sky Patrol City, right? Tian Simu reminded him. Yes. They set up defenses on all sides of Sky Patrol City and set up the 8 gates formation. But how could they expect us to pass through the teleportation formation? Ha ha ha. Qin Jian laughed. Zhu Jianyou's message is that the heavens are helping us, right? When the crowd heard this, they were delighted. They really felt that Qin Jian's plan was flawless and admirable. All right, it's almost time. Qin Jian waved his hand. Let's go find this secret teleportation formation and kill the cultivators guarding it. At this moment, a sharp sword chi swept across the sky and headed in the direction of Yinyang Twin Springs Mountain. Although the sword chi was extremely faint, Qin Jian and the others flying swords all sensed it. All of them hummed and a sense of worship rose from the bottom of their hearts. Senior sword cultivator? Qin Jian and the others were shocked. They looked at each other and hurriedly flew up to the sky and stood there respectfully. In just a moment, a green sword light appeared in the air. When the sword light expanded, a skinny swordsman with a pale yellow face appeared in the form of a sword. Junior greets senior sword cultivator. The crowd did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly bowed respectfully. There was a trace of anger on the sword cultivator's face. He swept his sword-like eyes across the crowd and said coldly, "This is already within the boundaries of Sky Patrol City. What are you waiting for?" I am Qin Jian from the Void Heaven Sword School. I want to take advantage of the fact that Shui Yu's spiritual master is not in the city to sneak into the teleportation formation of the Sky Patrol City. I want to kill a gold core cultivator and spread the name of the Sword Realm. How can Shui Yu not be in Sky Patrol City? The sword cultivator looked at Qin Jian with a strange expression. You are too bold. If I didn't pass by today, I'm afraid all of you would have died. Well, don't come within 500 miles of Sky Patrol City in the future. Chapter 2446. With that, the sword radiance on the swordsman's body flowed and gradually transformed into a giant sword that was dozens of feet long. The sword radiance was as bright as the moon in the mortal world. Clang! There was an earth-shattering sound of the sword and a sword chi shot into the sky. Qin Jian and the rest's flying swords were trembling and buzzing. Senior! Qin Jian and the rest were shocked as they did not know what the swordsman was doing. At this moment, a divine thought swept over from the direction of Sky Patrol City. It was Qin Jian and the rest. Nascent soul stage divine thought. Shuiyu sage. Qin Jian and the rest panicked and did not dare to delay. Seeing the giant sword that the swordsman had transformed into dashing into the distance, a few of them hurriedly flew on their flying swords and followed suit. However, the swordsman's sword shadow quickly disappeared and a few of them remained in the distant sky. Strange. After a long time, a rainbow light descended from the direction of Sky Patrol City. It was Shuiyu Sage's figure in the rainbow light. He scanned with his divine thought and muttered to himself, "What are the swordsmen doing here? What are those illusory swordsmen doing? Oh, there seems to be a kid called Qin Jian among them? Oh no, it's a teleportation formation." After Shuiyu Sage took a closer look, he could not help but smile bitterly. These little brats are really good. They actually discovered a secret teleportation formation. With that, Shuiyu Sage flew for another 10 miles. He pointed his finger and a faint white light landed on the ground. After a while, a golden core stage cultivator respectfully came out and bowed. Disciple Lan Zhili greets Governor. What orders do you have for me? Zhili, your teleportation formation has been discovered by the swordsman. It's better to go somewhere else. Shuiyu Sage said with a smile. Oh, what? Lan Zhili smiled bitterly and bowed again. I understand. I'll go somewhere else. Oh no. I've been lured away by the swordsman's plan. Shuiyu Sage suddenly felt something and scanned Sky Patrol City with his divine thought. Without waiting for Lan Zhili to say anything, he dived into the ground and disappeared. Lan Zhili was stunned. When he dived into the ground, he saw the teleportation formation rumbling violently. Shuiyu Sage had used the teleportation formation to return to Sky Patrol City. What happened in Sky Patrol City? Mist Zhili's expression was uncertain. He ordered a disciple to teleport back to Sky Patrol City to investigate while he packed up the formation and prepared to move the teleportation formation to another place. Xiao Hua concealed his figure and came out from the Imperial Thunder Sect's encampment. He picked a direction and flew towards the street he saw during the day. Although Xiao Hua could not tell the direction clearly, the busiest place in Sky Patrol City was Tu Hong's residence. On a bright and spacious street, huge lanterns were hung every 10 feet or so. Those lanterns were bright red, illuminating the entire street. The red brilliance of the lantern swayed slightly, as if it was a burning flame. The red glow of joy was reflected on the faces of the guests on the street, and they were all brimming with joy. Although it was already late at night, there were still many cultivators who came to visit Tu Hong's mansion. Of course, Tu Hong would not stay here. There were disciples from Tu Hong's mansion and disciples from Sky Patrol City at the entrance to greet them. Some cultivators were invited into the mansion and were escorted by disciples. Some cultivators handed over their gift lists or storage pouches and left after cupping their fists in salute. This old dog. I wonder how many spirit stones he received for a dual cultivation ceremony. Xiao Hua's figure flashed in the night sky. He looked coldly at the bustling residence and thought about Cui Hongshan's desolation. Then, Xiao Hua looked at Tu Hong's residence and thought to himself, Tu Hong's residence is so big, I don't know where to find Dui Qiming. Moreover, there are many guests in Tu Hong's residence, and there are many golden core cultivators. How can I make a move so easily? Besides, Shuiyu's spiritual master is still in Sky Patrol City. If I make a move, I might even lose my life if I fail to kill Tu Hong. Forget it, I'll let that guy off for today. I'll find Dui Qiming and ask her. If she still has feelings for Cui Hongshan and said that she was deceived by Tu Hong, I'll still knock her out and send her into the space. Who would know that it was my doing? When I find a chance to kill Tu Hong in the future, I'll throw Dui Chiming somewhere and let her return to Imperial Thundersect by herself. Then, I'll still be able to accomplish Cui Hongshan's good deed. Damn it, I can't let him call me senior brother for nothing. If Dui Chiming really has a change of heart, then, forget it. Everyone has their own ambitions. Tu Hong, that guy, is indeed much better than Cui Hongshan. However, since Dui Chiming has made such a choice, when Tu Hong is killed by me in the future, all the bitter consequences will be her own choice. Xiaohua thought. His figure once again concealed himself and fled into the distance of the mansion. When he arrived at a dark place, he carefully released his Buddhist consciousness. He saw that there were faint restrictions on the periphery of Tu Hong's mansion. The restrictions on the interior were frequently patrolled by Foundation establishment cultivators with some qi refining disciples. They seemed to be very vigilant and did not neglect the dual cultivation ceremony. Humph, they're just a bunch of clay chickens and pottery dogs. They're just decorations. Xiaohua snorted coldly. His figure fled into the ground. The faint restrictions on the ground seemed to be unable to stop his figure. However, just as Xiaohua's figure broke through the restriction, several Gold Core Realm cultivators were sitting in the meeting hall of Tu Hong's residence. Qing Bai, Yun Chen, and the other late-stage Gold Core Realm cultivators that Xiaohua had seen in the teleportation array were also present. Tu Hong seemed to be accompanying these cultivators and talking about something. His crimson Taoist robe and glowing red face were somewhat different from the one in the meeting hall of Yanxi Manor during the day. From time to time, his gaze would fall lovingly on the face of Dui Chiming, who was sitting beside him. There was also Lan Xin, who Xiaohua had only seen a few times before. She carefully stood at the entrance of the meeting hall, accompanying everyone. She was Tu Hong's advisor during the war. Now that they had arrived at Sky Patrol City, she only needed to accompany Tu Hong and sometimes give him advice. She didn't need to worry about the matters of the dual cultivation ceremony. At this time, Dui Chiming's face was not particularly pale. Instead, there was a kind of blush smeared on her cheeks. Of course, his eyes were still filled with hesitation, joy, disbelief, and other complicated expressions. He did not hear what the crowd was saying, and only looked at the ground. The ground was paved with huge bluestone, and runes could be faintly seen on the bluestone. Tu Hong's eyes flashed with regret, as if he was very distressed for Dui Chiming. He said, "Chiming, if you feel something is wrong, you can go back and rest first." "Haha, I'm afraid it's fine." Before Dui Chiming could speak, Qianemo smiled and said, "How can the disciples of my Imperial Thunder Sect be so spoiled? It's probably because the ceremony is approaching that you feel something is wrong in your heart, right? I'll let Martial Uncle Qian know." Dui Chiming's face piled up a forced smile. "Disciple is really fine, I just feel very uncomfortable in my heart." "Ha ha ha," Yunchen laughed and said, "I'm afraid fellow Taoist Dui feels this is a bit unbelievable, right? I can't believe that fellow Taoist Dui and fellow Taoist too actually fell in love at first sight. This is something I can't even imagine in my dreams." "And that's true." Qingbai nodded slightly. "As far as I know, female cultivators always feel something is wrong before the dual cultivation ceremony. This feeling will slowly fade with time. If fellow Taoist Dui is not feeling well, you might as well rest first. We are all good friends of Tu Hong, so you don't need to accompany us here." "How can that be?" Dui Chiming nodded slightly and said, "Since martial uncles are here, I should accompany you. How can I be so impolite?" "Haha, you're still calling us martial uncles." Qianemo laughed. "In a few days, you'll have to change this form of address." Dui Chiming's expression was extremely awkward, but there was also a hint of joy in her eyes. In fact, there was even a trace of joy in her eyes. "Oh, by the way, Chiming, this old man has already received a message from the sect. Palace Master Dui Jie and your master of the Imperial Thunder Sect will be arriving in a few days. You have to brace yourself to welcome your elders." Qianemo smiled and turned to Tu Hong, saying, "My humble sect's spiritual master Qian Lazy can't personally attend fellow Taoist Tu's dual cultivation ceremony due to the sect's busy affairs. He has already sent Palace Master Dui to bring the congratulatory gift. Fellow Taoist Tu, please report it to Spiritual Master Ming Xue." When Tu Hong heard this, he quickly got up and bowed. "Many thanks to Spiritual Master Qian Lazy. Many thanks to fellow Taoist Qian." Senior Chen Lazy is the leader of a sect. Not to mention that he's busy, even if he's free, this junior would never dare to invite him to come all the way to Sky Patrol City. If there's a chance in the future, this junior will personally go to the Imperial Thunder Sect to meet Spiritual Master Chen Lazy. Haha, isn't that easy? When Qiming returns to my Sky Thunder Peak, fellow Taoist too can follow her. Chen Imo helped Tu Hong up and said with a smile. That's right, Tu Hong said. Suddenly, he frowned and his face turned ugly. Oh, what's wrong? Fellow Taoist too? Chen Imo was very close to Tu Hong. He immediately felt that something was wrong and asked curiously. Haha, it's nothing. This too might be the same as Qiming. Tu Hong laughed and covered up his unnatural expression. Ha ha ha, everyone laughed. Dui Qiming's face turned even redder, and her eyes stopped on Tu Hong. It seemed that on Tu Hong's body, there was also Cui Hongshan's shadow. However, as soon as she thought of Cui Hongshan, Dui Qiming's heart ached, and her face turned pale once more. Her eyes were also a bit blurred. Hesitation, contradiction, regret, melancholy, joy, helplessness, fear. All of these emotions were tangled together at this moment. However, Tu Hong didn't pay attention to Dui Qiming at this time. He cupped his hands across his chest and said, Fellow Taoists, please wait a moment. This too has some matters to pass down. Haha, Chen Mo and the others nodded and picked up the spirit tea on the table. As for Tu Hong, he quickly walked in front of Lan Xen and nodded, indicating that she should follow him out. Chapter 2447. The two exchanged sound transmissions outside the door for a moment. Then they saw Tu Hong take something with a puzzled look on his face as he hurried away. Tu Hong's face relaxed as he returned to the conference hall. Half an hour passed and Lan Xian still hadn't returned. Tu Hong was a bit distracted. He glanced at Dui Qiming and said, Qiming, it's late now. I'll send you back. Your master will be here in a few days, so you must rest well. Dui Qiming was lost in her thoughts and didn't pay attention to Tu Hong's expression. When she heard Tu Hong's words, she was slightly surprised. It was late now, but to a cultivator who cared about time. However, Dui Qiming got up and smiled. I'm a bit tired. Martial uncles, please stay here and chat. This junior will take her leave. Then, she nodded to everyone and turned towards the door of the reception hall. At this time, Tu Hong was about to stand up and send her off, but his expression changed. He cupped his hands and said, Everyone, please wait here for a moment. I have something to do and will be back soon. Without waiting for anyone to speak, he flew up and flew out of the reception hall. In a moment, he passed Dui Qiming and disappeared into the night sky. This. Qing Bai and the others looked at each other in dismay. Haha, Tu Hong is always like this. When he encounters something unexpected, he doesn't even greet us. Today can be considered good. Yun Chen said with a smile, We don't need to pay attention to him. We'll just wait here for him. That's not good. Chen Mo stood up and said, He's in Tu Hong's mansion right now. If he left in such a hurry, there must be something troublesome. We are all his good friends, so how can we just stand by and watch? This. Qing Bai hesitated. Just like what Chen Mo said, this was Tu Hong's residence. He left in a hurry and didn't tell them anything. Wasn't it because he had some unspeakable things to say? If they went to help, Tu Hong might not be willing to do so. However, Chen Mo's status was different. After all, he was Dui Qiming's martial uncle and also the representative of the Imperial Thunder Sect in Sky Patrol City. Everyone had to listen to his words. Fellow Taoist Chen, I'm afraid it's not convenient for us to interfere with fellow Taoist Tu Hong's affairs, right? Yun Chen said softly. Of course not. Chen Mo waved his hand and said, This old man befriended Chen Mo precisely because of his magnanimity. What could he possibly do that we can't interfere with? What's more, as a friend, one must treat each other with sincerity. In my opinion, he's probably afraid of troubling us, right? Oh no. It's Qin Jian. Qimeng, come with me. While Chen Mo was speaking, his spiritual will had already reached Tu Hong's side. He hurriedly shouted and rushed out. Hearing Chen Mo's words, Qing Bai, Yun Chen, and the others were also shocked. They all spread out their divine senses and saw a sword cultivator confronting Tu Hong in midair. Therefore, they didn't say anything and flew towards the night sky. Xiao Hua, on the other hand, appeared in a garden in Tu Hong's residence after breaking through the restriction for half a cup of tea's time. Humph, this guy really knows how to enjoy himself. Xiao Hua looked at the lush spiritual flowers and plants in the garden. They didn't wither because of the cold of Sky Patrol City. He also thought of the flowers and plants under the spirit stone vein of Springgold Mountain, and couldn't help but curl his lips. Xiao Hua released his Buddhist sense and roughly glanced at several busy disciples nearby. Then, he jumped towards a female disciple who was tidying up her things in the attic. This is indeed a bit difficult. Xiao Hua used his method to ask the female disciple. Then, he flew into the night sky and flew towards the center of the residence. According to this female disciple, Tu Hong's Golden Core friends came to visit today. They are talking in the reception hall. If there is no accident, Dui Chi Meng should also be accompanying them. Damn it, Dui Chi Meng and Tu Hong are now together meeting Golden Core cultivators. How can she dual cultivate with my myriad Thunder Valley's disciples? Even if that Chui Hongshan doesn't dislike it, this young master will. Hey, isn't this the think tank called Lan Xian? Xiao Hua was lost in his thoughts. As he was preparing to release his Buddhist sense to search for the meeting hall, he suddenly saw a person. This person was hidden in the shadows, walking along a corridor towards a pagoda-shaped building. This guy is Tu Hong's close friend. Why isn't he in the reception hall welcoming guests? What is he doing here? Xiao Hua immediately paid attention to this person. He secretly lowered his body and stood in midair. Lan Xian didn't seem to care at all as she casually walked through the corridor. She passed through several dozen feet of open space and arrived in front of the 10-foot-tall pagoda. Then, Lan Xian released her divine sense and looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, she reached out and took out a token from her storage bag. She poured her magic power into the pagoda. As the token touched the pagoda, it immediately flashed with a brilliant light. This light quickly covered the top of the pagoda from a fist-sized glazed area. When this light fell to the ground, a small door the size of a person appeared in front of Lan Xian. Haha, the general is really careful. Lan Xian laughed and pushed the door open. When the door closed, the brilliant light rose up from the bottom, protecting the entire pagoda and restoring it to its original appearance. As for why Lan Xian had come here, this was naturally because Tu Hong had sent her here. But if Xiao Hua hadn't broken into the spell, Tu Hong wouldn't have sent her here. But, what if Tu Hong hadn't sent Lan Xian here? Xiao Hua wouldn't have been able to find this place, right? What was the cause and what was the effect? Who could say for sure? Humph, coming here at this time, she seems so relaxed. Could this be a trap? Xiao Hua hesitated. How could there be so many coincidences? As soon as he came in, he would run into Lan Xian. But, even if it is a trap, so what? Do you think this young master is afraid? Xiao Hua's figure appeared in midair. With a cold snort, he escaped into the ground and disappeared. After Lan Xian entered the pagoda, she saw that it was a space several dozen feet wide. This space was very tight. It was filled with large stones that were commonly seen in Sky Patrol City. Above her head was a blue stone wall, and beside it was a small ladder that led to the second level of the pagoda. There wasn't anything special about this stone wall. There wasn't even the slightest fluctuation of magic power. However, Lan Xian only glanced at the small ladder. Then, she slapped her hand and took out a thumb-sized milky white bead. He knew that although this stone wall and ladder looked very ordinary, and even if one used their divine sense to sweep through them, they wouldn't be able to see anything strange. But, as long as one stepped on the ladder, or if one approached the stone wall or the corner of the stone wall, the entire pagoda would send out an extremely powerful attack. This attack was personally arranged by Tu Hong. Even an early golden core cultivator wouldn't be able to escape from it. In particular, the magic weapon at the top of the pagoda was even more powerful. It was used to prevent cultivators or sword cultivators from entering the pagoda from the air. When Tu Hong had laid down the array formation, he had asked Sage Xueyu to help him. Thus, some of Tu Hong's secrets were also placed in this pagoda. As Lan Xian thought about Tu Hong's uneasiness just now, she couldn't help but laugh at herself. It was just like the onlooker had a clear view of the situation. Lon Exeon didn't think that with true Lord Snowlands guarding Sky Patrol City, there would be a sword cultivator that would break in and cause trouble. Even if there were some Dao sect cultivators that had some disputes with Sky Patrol City, they wouldn't dare to cause trouble for Sky Patrol City. After all, Sky Patrol City had a righteous reason to resist the attacks of sword cultivators. However, since this was Tu Hong's order, Lon Exeon didn't dare to neglect it. Along the way, he didn't dare to fly around recklessly. Instead, he walked at a leisurely pace, trying not to draw attention to himself. Not only that, but he also carefully released his divine sense. Now that he was inside the pagoda, his heart was finally at ease. Urging her magic power, Lon Exeon began to recite the law formula that Tu Hong had just transmitted to her. The milky white bead began to emit a faint cloud of fog. The fog grew larger and larger until it covered her hand. Then, Lon Exeon pointed her hand and an earthy yellow brilliance fell onto the ground in front of her. On the ground, there was a strange and irregular pattern. The brilliance was like a spark of fire, but the pattern was like a pan of oil. As soon as it touched the ground, there was a crackling sound like beans being fried. The entire pattern began to rise and fall with this sound, causing the entire ground to move. As Lon Exeon saw that this undulation was about to reach the foundation of the pagoda, she quickly let go of her hand and allowed the cloud-shrouded bead to fall onto the other side of the pattern. This was exactly where the spark of fire had fallen. With a light clang, the bead disappeared from the ground, but the fog remained on the ground. At the same time, the undulation didn't stop. Rather, it began to change its rhythm. As the fog began to rotate, it gradually formed a vortex. This vortex became increasingly large, gradually covering the entire pattern. Looking at the steps formed by the layers of fog within the vortex, Lon Exeon tentatively stepped onto them. After all, this was the first time that she had entered this important area of the pagoda. Sure enough, as Lon Exeon stood on top of the vortex immediately shrank, returning to the place where the bead had disappeared. As for Lon Exeon, she also disappeared along with the fog. The entire space was restored to its previous tranquility. Lon Exeon felt her vision blur for a moment. When she could see clearly again, she couldn't help but be surprised. This was because the space he was standing in was exactly the same as the space he had been in. There was also a blue stone wall, and there was a small ladder in the corner. However, beneath his feet, beside the same pattern, there was a 3-foot wide hole. From this hole, a faint white fog floated out. As this fog floated up several inches, it turned into bits of ice that fell down. That should be it. Lon Exeon faintly nodded. She stretched out her hand and grasped at the void. The milky white bead that had just disappeared flew out from the diagram and fell into her hand. Then, Lon Exeon stepped in front of the hole and floated into it, her figure not slowing down at all. Chapter 24:48. She saw that this was a space of ice and frost. The pale white clouds that she had seen before filled the air, and bits of ice were scattered all over the ground. In the middle of this fog, several bright flower stones floated in the air, emitting a faint brilliance that illuminated the center of this space. On the ground, there was a sparkling and translucent crystal coffin. Needless to say, the one lying in the crystal coffin was Yu Meng. Her thick black eyelashes seemed to tremble, and her pure white skin shimmered with a snowy brilliance. Just looking at her made one feel a chill run down their spine. Lon Exeon landed beside the crystal coffin. She first looked at it and then swept her divine sense over it. Seeing that there was nothing wrong with it, she sighed and said, "As the ancients say, even heroes find it difficult to resist the charms of a beautiful woman. Even a character like the High General is no exception. Putting on such a grand display, it's all for the woman he loves." "Who is it?" Lon Exeon's heart suddenly stirred. She felt the bead in her hand slightly jump. She quickly looked up at the hole she had just fallen into. She didn't believe that there would be someone who would actually invade the pagoda. Let this old man take a look. Just what sort of treasure Tu Hong has in here. Xiao Hua transformed into a Qin Jian and flew down from the hole. Ah! As Xiao Hua's eyes fell onto Yu Meng's face, he was immediately shocked. He never imagined that Dui Qiming would fall into such a state. Damn! Xiao Hua's heart suddenly filled with guilt. He sighed as he thought that he had been suspicious of Dui Qiming. Who would have thought that Dui Qiming had already fallen into Tu Hong's trap, and was no longer in control of herself. Qin Jian. How did you come here? As Lan Xian saw Qin Jian's familiar face, she was even more shocked than Xiao Hua seeing Yu Meng. Haha, Xiao Hua opened his mouth and a blue and red flying sword flew out. In the air, it split into 4 sword lights that shot towards Lan Xian. As Lan Xian saw this blue and red sword light split into 4, and each one was a sword light, it didn't seem like an ordinary sword cultivator. Lan Xian was stunned for a moment, but as she saw the sword light flash in front of her, her heart went cold, and an inexplicable palpitation rose up from the bottom of her heart. She didn't dare to be negligent. She hastily activated the bead in her hand, and a white fog emerged from the bead, rapidly expanding. At the same time, the white fog in the air was also driven by the bead, instantly forming a thick layer of fog around Lan Xian, firmly protecting her. CSI, a soft sound rang out. The power of the flying sword was far beyond his imagination. Unknowingly, it pierced into the mist. Moreover, that frightening feeling was even more intense. It made him feel as if he was about to be pierced by the flying sword. It really is an illusory swordsman. Lan Xian couldn't help but groan. She knew that everything pointed to disaster, so she clenched her teeth and spat out a mouthful of blood that fell onto the bead. With a muffled sound, the bead suddenly swelled. Countless blood vessels stretched out like tentacles, rapidly spreading outwards. Chunks of ice formed in the thick fog, blocking Xiao Hua's slaying dream. Xiao Hua's eyebrows shot up. He sneered. You think you can block this old man's flying sword with just this? As Xiao Hua spoke, he flicked his finger and several sparks flew into the fog, immediately igniting the ice. Ah! Samadhi true fire. How do you know Samadhi true fire? Lan Xian was surprised. This is this old man's raging flame. How did it become Samadhi true fire? Xiao Hua pretended to cover it up. However, he didn't need to cover it up. This was because the bead in Lan Xian's hand that had already been dyed red with blood suddenly flew into the air. As Lan Xian clumsily formed a law formula, a crimson light suddenly shot up into the air. Swoosh! A sound similar to the sound of water pouring from the 9 heavens rang out, and snowflakes that covered the sky and covered the earth began to fall. The magic power on the snowflakes surged, and there was also an indescribable light mixed within. As the snowflakes spiraled down, the light was also glaring, and as it scattered down, the spiritual energy of the entire space seemed to have solidified. A kind of suffocating pressure surged towards Xiao Hua. How troublesome! Xiao Hua sensed the might of the magic treasure and couldn't help but sigh. His entire body suddenly flew up, and with a stretch of his hand, he executed the heaven and earth sleeve technique and met the restrictive force head-on. With a series of cracking sounds, the two forces broke apart, and Xiao Hua's body was smashed down several inches. At this time, Lan Xian heard Xiao Hua shout out, "Separate!" The 4 sword lights that caused Lan Xian's heart to palpitate instantly split apart once more. 4 more sword lights shot out, breaking through the clouds and piercing towards Lan Xian. Fight! Lan Xian had already brought out her bead, using the magic tools within the pagoda to attack Xiao Hua. As she saw 4 more sword lights fly out, she only needed to clap her hands and separate a wisp of her divine sense to take out her magic tool. How could Xiao Hua allow her to struggle? Xiao Hua's figure suddenly swayed, and in a moment he arrived near Lan Xian. With a flick of his sleeve, imprisoning force that Lan Xian couldn't resist was born from his sleeve, sucking away all of the world's spiritual energy around Lan Xian. This is... Lan Xian struggled with all her strength. But with her late foundation establishment cultivation, how could she possibly resist Xiao Hua? She couldn't even move. At this time, the 4 sword lights shot through the clouds like bolts of lightning, piercing into Lan Xian's body. Lan Xian seemed as if she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Seeing that the surging snowflakes had already reached the top of Xiao Hua's head, Xiao Hua didn't say anything. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the sunleaf fan in his hand. With a hoo sound, a fire dragon appeared and blew away the snowflakes near him. Xiao Hua flew up again and used the heaven and earth sleeve technique to cover the pearl that no one was controlling. It was very easy for him to absorb it into his space. Without the bead, the snowflakes that filled the sky disappeared like a whirlwind. Against this Lan Xian, This young master has to use the universe within sleeves technique. I'm still not used to this flying sword. Xiao Hua was a bit distressed. As a cultivator, using magic techniques was a natural matter. He wasn't used to it at all. Xiao Hua opened his mouth and the beheading dream flew into it. His eyes fell on the crystal coffin. As his divine sense swept over the crystal coffin, he knew that the person inside had already lost all signs of life. Aya, senior apprentice sister DUI. Xiao Hua sighed. This little brother wanted to bring everyone from the Imperial Thunder Sect's first squad back to the Imperial Thunder Sect, but the result was, senior apprentice sister was the first to go. As Xiao Hua spoke, he frowned. Didn't that Tu Hong want to dual cultivate with senior apprentice sister? Why did he take your life? And why did he keep you in the crystal coffin? Looking at Lan Xian's appearance, it seems that she came to investigate. The dual cultivation ceremony will soon begin. So what will Tu Hong use to awaken senior apprentice sister DUI? What will he use to explain to the Sky Patrol City Lord and my Imperial Thunder Sect? Could it be that Chen Mo didn't allow Cui Hongshan to see DUI Qiming because he knew that DUI Qiming had already died? This is really strange. Xiao Hua couldn't figure it out no matter how he thought about it. Ha ha ha. Just what is this young master thinking? Isn't this ready-made? Xiao Hua's eyes fell on Lan Xian's corpse that hadn't yet turned cold. Lin. Xiao Hua immediately took out the Buddha relic. Underneath this Buddha relic that was filled with boundless magic power and compassion, Lan Xian's soul was exceptionally well behaved. She began to speak of everything she knew. Go. Xiao Hua sighed. The golden light of the Buddha relic's Lin character fell onto Lan Xian's soul, and the human-shaped soul immediately turned into a wisp of white smoke. So that's how it is. Xiao Hua looked at Yu Meng's body, a thoughtful expression on his face. For the sake of his true love, Tu Hong laid down such a trick, and senior apprentice sister DUI was still kept in the dark. Even now, DUI Qiming hasn't seen Cui Hongshan's corpse, but she still hasn't given up hope. She has always been asking to find Cui Hongshan's remains. Aya, this young master suspected her for nothing. Poor DUI Qiming, she was nothing but a chess piece in a transaction. When the right opportunity came, she would become Yu Meng. Yu Meng and DUI Qiming were so similar that even this young master couldn't tell them apart. How could the disciples of Sky Patrol City who were with Tu Hong be able to tell? Moreover, I fear that Yu Meng won't return to the Imperial Thunder Sect in the future. Tu Hong's trick was truly flawless. No one could see through it. That bastard actually had such a scheme in mind when my Imperial Thunder Sect's first squad arrived at the Golden Spring Mountain Spirit Stone Mine. It's really. At this time Xiao Hua's heart stirred. This Xiao has been cultivating in the Golden Spring Mountain Spirit Stone Array, and I can feel karma in my heart. Could it be that this is also one of them? Humph, Tu Hong, oh Tu Hong. Even if you found 1,000,000 soul cultivators from Meng Mountain, so what? This young master will destroy this Yu Meng's body so that you won't be able to rest in peace for the rest of your life. Thinking this, Xiao Hua took out the wishful scepter and prepared to destroy the crystal coffin. But at this time, he couldn't bear to do so. Tu Hong can be considered an ambitious and ruthless character. He has a heart of stone and left tens of thousands of disciples at Golden Spring Mountain. But for this Yu Meng, he has also gone to great lengths. He isn't even afraid of scheming against Taoist Master Xueyu. He is truly a sentimental person. Besides, this Yu Meng is already dead. Destroying her corpse is disrespectful. Ha ha ha, this young master was wrong. This is truly an opportunity given to me by the heavens. Xiao Hua suddenly realized something. This young master will bring this Yu Meng to Tu Hong's guest hall and let everyone see her corpse. Then I will reveal his scheme. How will he be able to dual cultivate with DUI Qiming? This will help that Cui Hongshan achieve his goal. He didn't call me senior apprentice brother in vain. Thinking this, Xiao Hua looked up at the broken mirror in front of the crystal coffin. Xiao Hua had already learned from Lan Xian that this broken magic tool was the ice essence mirror. The ice in this space, as well as the snowflakes and scattered lights that were released by the bead, were all sent out by this magic tool fragment. As for the crystal coffin, it was also related to this magic tool. If he didn't destroy this magic tool fragment, then there would inevitably be an extremely powerful spell that would be released from this magic tool. As Xiao Hua looked at the mirror, A faintly discernible beam of light flashed past. Xiao Hua's vision immediately blurred, as if he were in an illusion within the Xiantian true water. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.